synthetic with an STP extended life oil filter for just $33.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. I want to let you know that we have a local office in Baton Rouge that is able to handle your case with care and attention. After being in an accident, the last thing you want to do is travel. Our local hometown attorneys are here to ensure you receive the highest quality legal service and help get you the compensation you deserve. Reach out to our team of local attorneys to handle your case. Call us at 225-888-8888.
That was one hell of a game, huh?
Head to 104.5 ESPN's YouTube channel for Whiskey and Wine with Moscona and T-Bob. Coming at you live and rowdy from Don Juan's Cigar Bar all season long.
It's time for LSU Fighting Tiger football on Eagle 98.1. Bring the energy! Presented by Low Bears Baton Rouge. Wishing the best of luck to Coach Brian Kelly and the Tigers this season. And LSU football can be heard all season long on the flagship home of the Tigers. Eagle 98.1, the Rock Station.
Eagle 98.1 Game Day is on. Presented by Super Chevy. See your Super Chevy dealers of Baton Rouge. This is LSU football.
Here's the snap. Give the ball right back to Williams. Sidesteps. Gets free inside the 15, the 10, the 5, and carries a Commodore into the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers. Snap to Nussmeier. Again, very clean pocket. Time in the pocket. Long throw, wide open. Lacey, right corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Tigers.
LSU football on Eagle 98.1, the flagship home of the Tigers. Tonight from Tiger Stadium, it's the LSU Tigers and the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, here's Charles Hannegriff and Matt Musso.
Of Burbank and Lee. Welcome to Eagle 98.1 Game Day. I'm Charles Hannegriff along with Matt Musso and our entire staff as we get you ready for the regular season finale between the LSU Tigers and the Oklahoma Sooners. The Tigers come in with a record of 7-4, 4-3 in the Southeastern Conference and unranked. Last week LSU beat Vanderbilt 24-17 to snap a 3-game losing streak. Oklahoma enters at 6-5, 2-5 in their first year in the Southeastern Conference, and last week, as a nearly 2-touchdown underdog at home, they beat Alabama 24-3. That snapped a 4-game losing streak for Oklahoma in league play. And that's where we are for these two teams who both began the season ranked in the top 20 and are playing out the string today without the hope of playing in either the Southeastern Conference Championship game or the inaugural 12-game college football playoff. However, the hopes of ending the season on a good note with 2 consecutive wins are there for both teams. It's the 100-year anniversary of Tiger Stadium. We finished that year-long celebration of the stadium with one of the most storied programs in the history of college football coming in for their first ever visit. Oklahoma has 7 national titles in the program's history and 7 Heisman Trophy winners. You think about LSU's tradition with 3 national titles in the last 2 decades. And you can understand, Musso, why these teams, these programs are disappointed by the results of this season. But through the month of October and into November, the losing streaks were starting to pile up. They both bounced back last week. This game is not going to make or break either season or either program. They've both fallen short of the goals that they had beforehand, but they'd like to have an era of good feeling heading into National Signing Day on Wednesday and into the offseason, into whatever bowl game these two teams may end up playing in. So there is something on the line today as far as pride and maybe morale in the grand terms of things, is there anything on the line? Probably not. But I've been looking forward to this game for a while just because I know LSU's brief but really exciting history with the University of Oklahoma. And I recognize, forgive me for using the word, brand, okay?
Hey, man,
I hate the word brand. You say brand, and I start thinking about laundry detergent and tennis shoes, okay? But Oklahoma is one of the biggest names in college football, regardless of what has happened this season. And I've always wanted to see these big-name programs that have never been here before. And this year, we've gotten two with UCLA and Oklahoma. So I'm excited about that. I'd like for them to be able to finish the season on a good note. We'll get into the X's and O's of this thing throughout today's show. What do you think is on the line here today?
Yeah, well, I'm with you on the brands, right, Hanny? I mean, that's why this one's been circled a long time. And you mentioned the brief history. Yeah, they've never played in the regular season. Oklahoma's never been here. But for LSU, at least 2 of their 4 national titles, you've had to go through Oklahoma to get them. So there is that, tit for tat there. You also mentioned maybe not enough, much being on the line. I think maybe for Oklahoma even more, because Brent Venables was going to be on the chopping block maybe at the end of this year, maybe. But that win against Alabama, now they have a chance to really build momentum, I think, going forward. So I like that even more for them. And we know Kelly he's not going anywhere, right? But, yeah, you want to build something towards next season. That's what it's about here. But, man, I'm just excited to actually, like you said, watch the 2 programs, watch the two teams with so much history go at it.
If you force me to start talking about coaches' situations, you're going to force me to start talking about contracts. I don't want to do that. It's a long day. We're just getting started here. And I can tell you, having watched all day yesterday and, for 13 weeks now, college football, and the first few hours here today, here's what I know. These 2 teams, Oklahoma and LSU, neither one of them does anything exceptionally well. Passing, running, special. Nothing is spectacular. But I can tell you that having watched all this college football, you know who's really, really, really good? Nobody. Because they're from Oregon on down to whoever you think is 133, they got problems. And that means that there's an era of unpredictability. I think Gordy said 2 weeks ago, 10-2 is the new 12-0. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So that sense of unpredictability that these 2 teams who are playing each other, it seems like a fairly even matchup. Both played Alabama with startlingly different results. Okay, so that's what we watch for. I can't tell you what's going to happen today. I got a reasonable idea of what LSU is going to try to do. Whether they'll be able to do it or not, who can say? We'll take our first break here. Lots of college football to get you up to date on. Plus, we'll X and O it here at the top of the show. Live from Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Hey, Gordy, you all set? I'm good, yep. All right, perfect. Just hold tight.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
.98.1 Eagle 98.1 Game Day Skull Session Defense presented by Edward Jones. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Now from the LSU Sports Radio Network, here's Gordy Rush.
Some games of extreme interest. Clemson leads South Carolina 14-7. That game's about midway through the third quarter. South Carolina with a drive into Clemson territory. Tennessee fell behind by 2 touchdowns, but now have come back to take the lead at the half against Vanderbilt 24-17. Michigan and Ohio State are tied at 10. They've just started the third quarter at the Shoe. All of those games have major ramifications for the college football playoffs, so we'll keep you up to date as those games matriculate on through. With that, let's bring in Gordy Rush. He'll be on the sidelines tonight with a rather large pullover jacket, I'm sure. Gordy, good afternoon.
No turtlenecks, but we'll have a jacket on. Right. You'd be able to see the field, Charlie.
How was? I hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
I did. I
hope you got to stay up late watch all 8 overtimes of Georgia and Georgia Tech.
I've watched all 8 overtimes, and for some reason they went quicker than the 7 overtimes that LSU had with Texas A&M. That was nice.
I can definitely agree with that. All right, Gordy, let's talk about Jackson Arnold for Oklahoma. He was a very highly rated recruit, played in the bowl game last year. Dylan Gabriel was the incumbent. They sort of kind of nudged him out the door. He's at Oregon. Arnold got off to a rocky start in September after the Tennessee game. He was benched, came back against South Carolina, and has played, I would say, better in the 5 games since his benching. He's thrown 5 touchdown passes and no interceptions, but the real threat that he brings is with his legs. He had 131 yards against Alabama last week. So with all that said, what is the strategy other than put a lot of people up front and force Jackson Arnold to throw the ball over your head?
Yeah, not as I think not as crafty a passer as Pavia last week from Vanderbilt. Look, Oklahoma's had a lot of injuries on the offensive line, a lot of injuries at the wide receiver position, and obviously not quite the passing game. He is a big body, and I think they're going to duplicate some of the stuff that Florida and Texas A&M were able to do. LSU, obviously, what Milrose did, and they had success with that against Alabama as they were limited passing the ball. So same thing, for me, for LSU's, I thought they did a nice job against Pavia last week. It's about cleaning up the big mistakes. I think this is what's gotten LSU's defense in problem. The fits they've had is the times they've had mental lapses, the times that they've had busts. I think they're going to try all of LSU's run fits tonight.
Gordy, after the A&M game, everybody said, well, why didn't LSU prepare for the running quarterback in Jalen Milroe? And maybe they didn't prepare as well as they needed to, but mostly they just didn't play really well. There were opportunities to make tackles on Milroe where they missed, and we've seen a lot of this year, whether it be the safety play or the linebacker fits. plays that should go for 5 to 10 yards end up going for 15 to 20, and those that should go for 10 to 15 go for 25 or more. So, do you trust LSU's game plan? Sure. Do you trust their play? That's been up and down.
Right. No question. It's the ability to execute. I mean, you're talking about playing with, Devon Keys is playing that Sam linebacker. I think he's played well. They've opted for him in front of Major Burns. And then you've been inconsistent back at the safety position. So you're requiring those guys to be really good, to be inside-out players and tackle well and not bust. And, against Florida, that's where 2 of your busts came through and, in that spot. And then the late touchdown against Florida, you had half the defense playing one call and the other half playing another one. And that's, to me, it starts with the safety plays. I think the safeties need to be exceptional for LSU to win tonight.
That would be a drastic change. I think we can all agree that they have struggled for most of the season. Gordy, when you watched Oklahoma against Alabama last week, what stood out about the schematics of their run game behind Jackson Arnold at 131 yards?
No, I think the big thing that jumped out and what I kind of seen in the Alabama prep film before LSU played Alabama is it just jumps out at you. Alabama's really athletic, but they don't have the size nor the depth in the defensive line. And so what was surprising was that Oklahoma's offensive line had been much maligned throughout the season and gone through a lot of different lineups, played with basically 6-man rotation, and they won at the point of attack. That and, similar to one of the things LSU is going to have to worry about, they didn't have an answer for Arnold, and a couple of times they were in a quarterback ISO with a lead and some of that, and just overpowered the Crimson Tide.
It just is so startling to hear you say Alabama doesn't have size or depth on the defensive line. That's just counter to everything.
Well, Charles, can I tell you? I told somebody last night. I was talking to a friend of mine. We're scouting this game. I said, I think there was going to be a day and age where Alabama didn't have giants that were 3 deep on the defensive line, and where Georgia was one-dimensional on offense. Yeah. How many, Georgia has half the teams, go look at fantasy football, half the running backs in the NFL. And they can't run the football. Obviously, that's a product of this transfer portal, new age of college football.
Let's talk about the rest of the Oklahoma rushing game, because they were able to pile up those yards, not just with Jackson Arnold running the football, but they ran the football effectively with multiple people last week.
Yeah, the freshman, Anderson, freshman, really has stepped up. And, again, they've been battered a little bit with that. It's a really good scheme. And you can tell he had Seth Luttrell in there. There was a quarterback, and he's at North Texas and North Carolina, and more of a spread-the-throw guy, and decided this wasn't the direction that we need to go and went to the spread-the-run. And then I went back and looked at Arnold on film and his high school tape, and he threw the ball a little bit, but he was just a man amongst boys. And I understand why he was up there with Arch Manning and Tennessee's quarterback as the top 3 guys coming out in 2023. He was able to throw a little bit, but he was just at that point, even as a senior, he was a big kid out there, ran really fast, ran really hard, and that's what he did against Bama.
I don't know that LSU has seen a team yet this year whose leading receiver was the tight end. But when you look at Bauer Sharp, he's a threat, particularly in the red area. I know he doesn't have a ton of touchdowns, but he's got a lot of catches down there. So who got him?
Well, that's a great question. And, a lot of teams have attacked the middle of the football field. When they've had good tight ends, they've done that as well, because when LSU, to stop the run game, LSU's always brought pressure from weaks and inside linebackers, and teams have just simply replaced them with either a running back or a tight end. So that means the safeties. And, then again, you get the safeties that are in this run-pass option. And I think that as I'm coming in, I'm an offensive coordinator against LSU. I'm not worried about the fact I've been green at receiver, and we'll see if they get some of their guys back. I really want to spread the field. Alexander and Stamps have been better. Yeah, they've been good this year, actually. They've played well this year. I just want to spread it wide, and what I want to do is get those safeties in as much space as possible. And Blake Baker is going to roll dice, and let's see if I can guess right and get the linebackers come and pull the ball, get a little protection, and try to pick on the linebackers. And there's a lot of crossing routes, a lot of middle of the football field. And, so obviously the tight end is going to be a main target again tonight.
We'll take a break here at Rouse's Our LeBear's countdown to kickoff about 4 hours and 45 minutes. We come back, we'll flip sides of the football and talk about how LSU attacks this very stingy Oklahoma run defense. That's next here at Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Brandon Holly here. Siding, windows, even doors. ReliefWindows.com.
Eagle 98.1 WDGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
98.1 Eagle 98.1 Game Day Skull Session Offense. Presented by Gulf Coast Bank. Gulf Coast Bank, the bank that cares about you. Now from the LSU Sports Radio Network, here's Gordy Rush.
Update you on the games that just kicked off in the second half, and Nashville, Tennessee leads that one 24-17. Michigan and Ohio State are still tied at 10. That game's about halfway through the third quarter, and Clemson leads South Carolina 14-7. About 5 minutes to go, 5.5 minutes to go in the third quarter of that one. All right, Gordy. LSU leads the Southeastern Conference in third down conversions. They convert a little over 50% of their third downs. What they'd like to avoid tonight is being in those long to go situations on third down. That's going to require some success on the early downs, and you would think that would require some production out of the run game. This is a very good Oklahoma run defense. How do you see the matchup there?
Yeah, what I'm wondering is that Oklahoma's been fantastic on defense, and their front seven, I think, ranks up in the top 3 that LSU's faced this year. I put them up there with Texas A&M in South Carolina. They've got edge rusher. They've got a fantastic linebacker. They've got some good football players. I think the million-dollar question to me is Brent Venables. When last we've seen Brent Venables was the national championship game as a DC at Clemson. And if you remember, he decided to bring heat and play cover zero and get after Joe Burrow. And it finally took a Jamar Chase over the top pass and then a couple more before they loosened things up. I'm just wondering if he doesn't go back and look at what Texas A&M did and what Alabama did and all the pressure that they brought, knocking Nussmeier in, and he doesn't decide to turn up the heat a little bit more tonight. They haven't done that because they've been a little bit beat up, and they're okay on the back end. They're not exceptional, so you don't want to leave them on an island all game, but it's got to be too appetizing for him to see some of the struggles that LSU has had, and then the problems at the center. And I'm going to assume Mubenga's going to start again at guard, that he doesn't attack that position. But you know, to your question, you know, absolutely. What can you do to get to third and manageable? I think tendency-wise, to me, I think LSU's been real heavy passing on first down and coming back and running on second, and they've made some really big third down conversions. I'd like to see that mixed up a little bit. And I think the big key word, being around Brian Kelly, being around this team, and you laughed because we talked a lot about Dana Holgorsen, and I know they lost yesterday, but he did this whole rant about how he said they had this huge playbook and he brought it down to one single sheet. They simplified things last week against Vanderbilt. I know BK mentioned it in the press conference. He talked to me about it, talked about it on Monday. I think that's really important. I think that Nussmeier doesn't have to run a race car offense, a little bit of tempo, a little bit of urgency. It's about getting him into a rhythm and not letting Oklahoma dial up all these exotic pressures.
And to that end, Gordy, the passes on first down, some of this can be an extension of the run game. Mm-hmm. Last week, Aaron Anderson had 6 catches. Josh Williams had 4 catches. Caden Durham had a couple of catches. Mason Taylor had 3 catches. And almost all of this stuff, exclusively, we said there was one downfield to Taylor, but almost all of this stuff was quick hitters, get the ball out of Nussmeier's hands, high percentage passes. And to me, that was the thing that was kind of missing out of this offense maybe a little bit earlier in the season.
Well, yeah, I think 2 ththings. I think you're exactly right, what they call the quick hitters and the blitz beaters and all the stuff with that. That's certainly a piece of it. And they had a lot of checkdowns last week because Vanderbilt played an enormous amount of zone. I don't see them doing the same this week. But to your point, I think mixing those up on high percentage stuff, getting the ball. I think you don't have to audible and go down to 10 to 5 seconds on the play clock to do that. I do love the idea of getting the ball to Anderson quick and some of the bubbles and the different movements to reverse the Thomas that we saw, I think, 2-3 weeks ago. All that stuff is great. I think mixing it up. It's trying to keep him out of third and long, where I think Oklahoma's I think LSU on third and long may struggle some with Oklahoma's pass rush. And I think that's what I'm trying to keep them out of that. Not only percentage-wise is that, not great for LSU, but this matchup in particular, Oklahoma's got people that can get home on you.
All right, let's talk about a few things kind of off the field. Neither one of these programs, these are 2 programs that are used to a lot of success. Neither has had the season that they wanted to. How do you see this going into the offseason for both of these programs? Neither one of them is going to be in the SEC championship game or in the playoffs, so they'll finish up with a bowl game. But there's a lot of important things because both of these programs aspire to have much better records than what they ended up with.
Well, I mean, look, for Oklahoma, I think they're trying to get all the offense solved. Talking to everybody I know that with Oklahoma, that's been the issue on there. They've been solid defensively. And for them, a win here, first year in the SEC, what's that put them at 7-5, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah. And, then it's a good mark, right? And it's not what they want, but that's something that you can stomach. I think the concern for LSU is that you've underachieved. You certainly underachieved based off, I think, what the expectations are. And, you're going to look back at that USC game and shake your head. You're going to look back at the Florida game and shake your head with the time of possession that you had. And those were 2 that you'd like to have back. And on the other side of it, you have a lot of questions on the offensive side of the football. Who returns? I mean, this was a mature quarterback, even though it's his first year starting. Who's coming back? what's the future look like on the offensive side of the ball? And on the defensive side, you think you got the right concept. Helps on the way, right? And so you'll get some better Jims and Joes back there to go along with some of the people that I think that have really emerged as leaders on that side of the football. So, it's huge for both of them, I think, to bring in some positive momentum to finish out recruiting, because neither one of them, I think, neither one of the fan bases are looking forward to whatever bowl they go to.
The second thing is, and it'll be this way next year too, but past that, who knows? I like the idea of having LSU and Oklahoma play the final game of the regular season. Since the Tulane rivalry fell out of, modern football, okay? There just wasn't a feasible thing anymore. LSU's sort of been searching for this end-of-season opponent, and they tried very hard to manufacture a rivalry with Arkansas that really wasn't there. And A&M was better, but it always felt like LSU was holding Texas's spot. That was the game that was supposed to be played. And, you're not going to play on Ole Miss or on Alabama because of their in-state rivalries last week of the season. This one, I think, has got a chance. Now, this year we're looking at 7-4 against 6-5. I don't expect that to be the norm. I expect if this series continues in its current spot on the calendar, that this game will have big time SEC championship game and college football playoff ramifications in the coming years. I'd like to see it stick here, Gordy. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, and then the discussion comes, what's future of scheduling look like? Does Oklahoma better fit as a permanent than Ole Miss? And I know Ole Miss was technically a B team, right, than an A, or, they replaced Texas A&M. I'm not sure what do you do, but I worry about in 2 years, who's the LSU going to close the season out? Both teams, and they feel the same way. I talked to Cale Gundy, who's in town for the game, and a lot of Tiger fans are going to be excited to make this trip. It's a big-name game to finish the end of the season, and I don't think there's a pairing that makes sense if the SEC is going to go ahead and revise this thing in 2 years after this home and home that is 2024, 2025. I'm 100% with you.
All right, dealer's choice on the last question before we let you go. Two questions that you don't want to answer. Pick the one you want to answer the least. Okay.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Here. What's going to be more offensive to you today? The fact that LSU's not wearing the traditional uniforms, which seems to have a lot of people's dander up, or how bad Indiana is going to absolutely demolish Purdue today for the old Oaken bucket. You can dodge one, answer the other one.
Oh gosh, I don't want to talk about the Boilers. I don't really care about the uniform, and I like Oregon, and I like some of it for recruiting. Yeah, I'm going to dodge the Indiana Purdue question. I mean. Oh man, it's been a rough year at West Lafayette. I mean, they're waiting outside for me, for basketball. I think they're playing Evansville, and it's probably going to have more people than the Oaken bucket game.
For the days of Coach Whistle, huh? At least he had a better record than this guy. At any rate, Gordy, stay warm out there, and we'll talk to you in postgame.
Okay, guys, take care now.
Tennessee knocking on the door. They're in the red zone against Vandy, hold a 7-point lead. Ohio State is inside the Michigan 20. That game is still tied at 10. 4 minutes to go. Clemson still holding that 14-7 lead against South Carolina. That game in the latter stages inside of 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. We'll take a break, get you up to date on everything going on in college football and what Jimmy's looking at for some plays later today. A lot to choose from. From Rouse's, our LeBear's countdown to kickoff is 4.5 hours. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty.
98.1 Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Orderlocks, presented by William Crane Allstate Insurance Agency. For auto, home, life insurance in the Baton Rouge and surrounding areas, William Crane Allstate Insurance Agency. Now, here's Jimmy Ott.
And we welcome you back in here at Rouse's, where you can get all of your game day tailgating supplies, all of your beer, your wine, your spirits here right on the left-hand side. Never run out of ice here. All of your other tailgating supplies on the right side of the store right here at Rouse's, Burbank and Lee. Jimmy, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, Charlie. Boy, what a day yesterday at Georgia Tech. Ooh. That was unbelievable. Tweeted out earlier today, man. I know you remember 1998, Clint Stoner played the game of his life with that one key fumble with less than 2 minutes to go in Knoxville, and they lost the game, man. Haynes King he played so well in the game until that fumble. So wild one, and I think major implications because of it. I know it's 100%, but if Georgia loses the conference championship game, it's going to be close. What's not close is their best wins. Beating top 12 teams, current top 12 teams, by double digits, home, away, and neutral. I think they punched their ticket. Actually, I'd be shocked if they don't get in now.
I agree. It would have been hairy had they lost that game last night in multiple places where they could have.
No, they lose last night. Yes, Charlie. That's a different story. Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about the games going on right now. Ohio State and Michigan. This has been replete with plenty of errors here in the second half. Ohio State can't run the football at all. And so putting the game in the hands of Will Howard, he's thrown 2 interceptions. But Michigan turned it right back over deep in their own territory. Ohio State missed a short field goal. Jimmy, I know you've been watching this one pretty close. Ohio State was a huge favorite today, but this is settled in for what's going to be a real interesting fourth quarter. They're tied at 10 late in the third.
Yeah, Howard with 2 big interceptions. I mean, the one after they get the 4th down stop against Michigan that they set up their only touchdown. I mean, it was like, a 5-yard, 8-yard drive?
Yeah.
And then they were just in the red zone again. So whether it's 3 or 7, it cost them more points. So Howard, who was so sharp last week, 22 to 26, I mean, he was really, really good. But, man, 2 big turnovers, and we're talking about a field position game, which this is. It's tough. Ohio State's defense is just – that's the backbone of this team. Michigan to this point right now only has 124 yards of offense, but Ohio State keeping them around, and one big play here or there, and Michigan has a chance if they just convert on a 3rd and 6 at their own 31.
Ohio State loses this game, and what? 10-2. They still get
Indiana,
in, right?
Oregon in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, and Ohio State still gets in at 10-2, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
Tennessee and Vandy. Vandy runs the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. They get a fumble. They get a short field. They cash that in. It's 14-0 before Tennessee woke up good, but woke up they have since then. It's been all Vols since then. They've now stretched that lead to 2 touchdowns.
A mature response, down 14. Pavia's playing. He's got a little extra juice on senior day. And, man, but, the Tennessee, talk about another one, too. Josh Heupel team, what's been the strength? Right now, Vanderbilt only has 145 yards of offense in Tennessee, doing it real methodically. Nico Iamaleava with, 220 on the in the air. He's got some key runs, only 36 with some key conversion runs there as well. And this is just a very mature, very, it's an impressive comeback. I mean, they were in trouble. I mean, we're talking about in game was as much as plus 7.5. Now they're up 14 and really have total control of this game at this point.
They will not be in the SEC championship game, but they will punch their ticket to the playoff with a 10-2 record, as long as they win this, hold on to win this game today.
At a favorable schedule, but they did enough. So.
Yeah. At Clemson, a 14-7 game with Clemson leading it. South Carolina getting the football back here early in the fourth quarter. Jimmy, I think this has been a pretty well-played ball game. We've seen some big plays. We've seen some good defense. We saw a 4th down stop for South Carolina on Clemson. We've seen some big conversions. I just think it's been a real well-played, balanced football game, and Clemson's got the lead in the fourth quarter.
We both got South Carolina, Charlie, but Clemson's been a better team today. So we're talking about 350 total yards to 240. And South Carolina, some of the few plays they had was Ladorna Sellers, some scramble plays. One was for a touchdown. He's got 55 yards, but just running out of their basic offense, they are really having problems. But Clemson was down in deep in Clemson, South Carolina territory, up 14-7. They fumbled a little end around. They had to punt. And here's South Carolina now with the ball, close to midfield, only down 7. So, remember that Florida State Clemson game last year where Clemson was the better team, but Florida State's kind of hung around and got the big play? Kind of reminds me of that game.
2:30 window. We got some really important games as far as the playoff is concerned. Let me start up at the Carrier Dome, the wireless dome, whatever they call it. Miami going in there. Boy, Jimmy, this is everything. Miami wins this game. They get in the ACC title game. They're probably in the playoff regardless. They lose this game, they could fall out of everything. And Syracuse is nothing but if not dangerous with Kyle McCord. He's capable of having a big day. He's thrown for almost 4,000 yards this season. Miami's a double-digit favorite here, but I think Syracuse is live today.
Oh, absolutely, Charlie. At home, I mean, Miami's played with fire. They've struggled with lesser teams at lesser places than this. And McCord, 39-46 on the year, 26 TDs, but a little feaster famine, 12 interceptions. That's a high number. That's got to come down a little bit, but and he spreads it around. They've got 3 receivers over 700 yards. A 4th one that had 150 yards receiving last week. So he's got weapons. And then, they're at home. And, no, absolutely Syracuse. Syracuse is my play here, plus the 11. So it'll be very interesting if Miami does not get into the conference championship game with second loss. Because, man, it's just going to be hard for the committee to take 2 teams from that league.
I love Syracuse in the points. I think they've got you want money line sprinkle? They got a shot to win this game if things fall right.
Well, common opponent, common place. They defeated Cal more comfortably than what Miami did earlier this year. So, no, Syracuse at home got a shot.
All right, the Iron Bowl. Alabama coming off of, man, it's bad a loss as they've had in a long time. And when I talk about margin, I know that they lost to Vanderbilt earlier this season, and that might have been, somewhat embarrassing at the time. But, man, this is the first time they haven't scored a touchdown in 13 years. I mean, since that LSU slugfest back in 11. And Jackson Arnold just ran it right down their throat. Oklahoma ran it right down their throats. They tried to bounce back against an Auburn team that had a hell of a performance last week and won a game in 4 overtimes and has played a lot better in the last month of the season.
Alabama fans not happy today with the Georgia comeback and then the Tennessee comeback today.
Good.
They were going to get look, I mean, the Georgia Tech game was a classic, man. I mean, it's so good.
It was.
But anyway, Alabama's owned this series at home. Now, that's a lot of saving, but Auburn's always given them, all they can handle at their place. I think a little recency bias here, a little buy low spot. I think Alabama, you talked about a week or two ago, might have been maybe 16. So at 11 and a half, I think Alabama's a side here. I do like the way, I like the way the quarterback played for Auburn, like putting some air under the ball and the deep balls. He made some plays, but they had a lack of respect angle with that one, with Elko saying we're 100% concentrating on Texas. Auburn. So I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Alabama minus the points in this one. Although Auburn finally Hugh Freeze has shown a little bit of progress after that offense and the passing game has struggled so poorly. But I think this is just a little bit too much recency bias. Auburn coming off the big win, Alabama being flat out embarrassed in Oklahoma. And keep in mind with Jackson Arnold, that was in hold on mode too. They were smothering Milroe in the front again. So why take chances? And they would rather let Arnold run the ball. And he has run the ball a lot, down the stretch since he returned as the starting quarterback for Oklahoma.
In College Station tonight, the winner of Texas and Texas A&M is headed to the SEC championship game. If Texas loses, they could still get in the playoff, obviously. For A&M, that's not the case. If they lost, it would be their 4th loss, so they'd be just going bowling. They've been waiting for this one a long time in College Station. Jimmy, these teams haven't played in 13 years. I think personally this is the biggest Texas A&M football game of the modern era. I can't think of one that's been any bigger. When you add what's on the line here today, who they're playing, and where they're playing this game, I know A&M is still an underdog here, but I think Aggie's one of my picks. You know that, and I think they've got a real shot to win this game.
Mine as well. Our buddy Paul Stone, the contributor to our podcast and our radio show at South Carolina, turns it over inside the 10 with 10:39 to go.
Yikes.
Clemson still up 14-7. So, a tough, brutal turnover right there for the Gamecocks. Yes, it's the highest price ticket all season long on the secondary market. And Paul Stone said it, 3+ years ago at media days when they announced Texas and Oklahoma were coming. They've been counting down to the game for them. So this is a positive of it. Hell with you. At least the league got this right. Y'all playing each other. I don't care. One doesn't want to play the other. No, you got to play each other. And give me the home team. I was shocked when this line opened up 7.5. It calmed down, but this is a 50-50 game. I like A&M, and even in a comeback mode, the run-based quarterback for A&M he made some plays with his arm, so he might be getting a little bit of traction there. Yours is not 100%, and, man, it's just a great game. Give me the home team in this one. Texas is in, Charlie. They're in the tournament. The league and everybody else has made damn sure of that.
Jimmy, LSU and Oklahoma tonight, first meeting in Tiger Stadium for these two teams. We've talked about it with Gordy and in our open. This is not the season that either one of these programs wanted. They're both used to having a lot of success. They're trying to, end the season on a good note, but they both aspire to much greater things. These were both top 20 teams to start the season. Neither one of them are going to are there right now. So how do you see this matchup tonight?
I thought Jackson Arnold, who they're really high on, he had a good bowl game against Arizona, too, to give him more confidence in him. I thought he'd be more settled in as a passer. But even the Tulane game, before he got benched, he had a couple of touchdowns with his legs in that game. So, and especially with LSU having problems defending a running quarterback, you're getting it. He rushed the ball 15, 18 times a game. That's a lot for a guy. That's not what I think initially they thought he would envision his role was going to be entering the season. But he's the best quarterback that they have and giving him a shot. Listen, man, Oklahoma's schedule is brutal. I mean, brutal. I mean, as much of a gift as the league gave Texas, well, that's how much harder it is for Oklahoma, making sure that they played each other. 7 played Oklahoma, 7 played Texas. And this was very predictable with this schedule. Well, man, also emotional win. That was the emotional win. You saw the field rush. Welcome to the SEC, Norman. You behaved like an SEC venue last Saturday night, and still got to go overcome it. So first trip to Baton Rouge, I like the Tigers in this one.
All right, Jimmy, who's bringing us auto locks?
My friend William Crane at Allstate Insurance. Come with the good hands, people, at William Crane Allstate. Are you one of the many Louisiana homeowners where your homeowners insurance is going up? Call William Crane at 421-3133. Ask about the Jimmy Odd special for the homeowners, and also that bundle with the homeowners in the car that will for extra better rates as well. Allstate committed to providing reasonable homeowners rates in the state where so many other companies have left. 421-3133. William Crane at Allstate Insurance.
All right, football Sunday tomorrow from the Queen. We'll see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, Jimmy.
Yes, indeed. See you.
All right, we'll take a break, come back. Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl breaks down Oklahoma's personnel when we return live at Rouse's Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Get a free roof inspection by Garcia Roofing. GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
WDGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Scouting Report. Presented by Demco. Providing safe, reliable, and competitively priced energy services to co-op members since 1938.
Welcome back in. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. We're live from the Rouses on Burbank and Lee. Continuing to count you down. LSU, Oklahoma, Saturday night in Death Valley. Regular season finale for 2024. It goes by in the blink of an eye just about every year. 12 weeks flies by. We'll welcome in Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. He's been with us every week here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Jim, welcome back. And, man, it feels like just yesterday we were sitting down to talk about LSU and USC in the opener.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast this every year it seems like the seasons just get faster and faster. But yeah, I can't believe here we are. We're already at the end of the year. It's nuts.
A lot of people had this game circled when the schedule came out. This will be the first time that LSU and Oklahoma meet in the regular season. It'll be Oklahoma's first trip ever to Tiger Stadium as a result. So it was a game that a lot of people had a lot of eyes on and a lot of intrigue, just like I said, before the season even started. Some of that has faded away on the LSU side. But let's talk about Oklahoma, Jim. They're coming off technically it's an upset, but they dominated that game against Alabama from start to finish. What were your takeaways from that? I mean, you look at a guy like Venables who was on the hot seat the majority of this year. Some of that's probably cool. Your takeaways from Oklahoma's win over Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, living down here in Roll Tide country, this has been it's been a crazy week. People down here are jumping off buildings. You can't believe that loss happened. But credit Oklahoma. I mean, they went into that game 1-5 in the SEC play and got a huge win. And you're right, they dominated. Watching the tape, it looks like Alabama went in with a similar plan with Jalen Milroe to run the ball, and it didn't work, and they didn't adjust. So huge win for Oklahoma. They're 6-5 now. They get a win against LSU. You head in the offseason with a ton of momentum, which is really if you don't make the college football playoff, that's all you can really ask for. I mean, right now we're looking at Florida potentially heading into the offseason with a lot of momentum with Billy Napier, and if Venables can figure out a way to get this win, you end the season with wins against Alabama and LSU. Obviously, a big game for the Sooners, so they'll have to come up with a big effort, in Tiger Stadium in a night game, but potentially a big win for these guys if they can pull it off.
What have you noticed that has maybe changed about Oklahoma from maybe earlier in the season when you watched them to now that they were able to get a win of that magnitude and set up a matchup like they have?
Well, I think the quarterback's playing better. The young quarterback played his best game, got a lot done with his legs. I think we're so quick with these guys, right? They moved on from Dylan Gabriel and they play the young guy, and they just the society we're living in now. I don't know if it's social media or what it is. You have a couple bad games, and the fan base has turned on him, and the coaching he gets benched, but now he's back in there and he's playing better. And then defensively, they've got some good players. I know we're going to talk about a couple of them, but they've got some good players on that defense, and they're a young team. They got young players on defense. They got a young team. They got a young offensive line, which I think is coming along and showing signs of improvement. So. They're peaking. They're peaking here late in the year. It's good. It's a good sign that Venables has kept that team together.
Especially on the defensive side, you mentioned they obviously got some talent there, and that's to be expected. Obviously, with Brent Venables there as the head coach, brilliant defensive mind that he is. Let's kind of dive in to a couple of them. And I mean, I feel like any conversation about Oklahoma starts with Danny Stutzman, just the standout linebacker. He's got a Senior Bowl invite. What stands out about the prospect?
Yeah, Danny's been a really good player there for a long time. It seems like he's one of those kids that's been at Oklahoma for about 10 years now. You put on the tape regardless of what game, and he shows up. Some guys are up and down. I mean, you know what you're going to get from Stutzman almost every week. He's a good size guy. I mean, he's like 6'3". I mean, this guy's a legit big linebacker. He can play downhill, but he's not the most physical downhill player, but he's got good instincts, and he finds a way to the ball. Like, again, he's not like some of the guys LSU has played with in the past that are really explosive downhill players, but he finds a way for kind of sifting through traffic and getting to the ball. And he's, for a big guy that can take up space, in zone coverage, he can drop and stay on the field on third down, which we're sitting here talking about an NFL projection, that's exactly what the NFL wants. They want linebackers that can play on all three downs. So he's a good one. He's going to be one of the first off the ball linebackers taken in the draft. Teams you typically like to wait on that position. There's very few Patrick Queens out there that they go in the first round. So I think Stutzman will probably go somewhere on day 2. I mean, it would shock me it would surprise me if he gets out of the second round. I think that's probably the safe projection for him right now.
In what way can he impact the game most Saturday against an offense like LSU?
Well, he can help turn the ball over, and that's really where LSU's had their issues this year is when they don't play clean on offense and they give the ball to the other team. And So, he flies around. But to me, it's hopefully, for Oklahoma, you're hoping he makes a play in coverage because he's not like they don't use him a ton as a blitzer. They do like to drop him and play him in coverage, and he is so instinctive. So if you're Oklahoma, if this guy can jump in a pass lane and make a big play, turning the ball over, that's going to be key, especially on the road. I mean, Oklahoma's got to find a way to take that crowd out of the game, and no better way to do that than to create turnovers. So, I mean, that's going to be a big key, whether it's Stutzman or somebody else. That was the key the other night against Alabama. They, picked off Milroe, they had a pick six, and that really turned the tide of the game. So I think turnovers will be key.
The other guy on defense that received a Senior Bowl invite is defensive back Billy Bowman. A guy who's just really stood out. And look, I mean, LSU's wide receivers, while talented, they've had some of their own issues this year as well with separation and things of that nature. How do the LSU wide receivers match up with a guy like Billy Bowman?
Well, Billy's a cool player because he's kind of your true free safety. He's got really good instincts back there. I mean, some players, the more you back them off the ball, and they really have to see out of both eyes and cover the whole field, the further they go back, the further they struggle. But he is a true center fielder. He's got good instincts back there, good awareness, good anticipation, good range, and then he's got good ball skills. He'll put himself in position to make plays, and he finishes. He's not one of these guys that is there to make the play and fails to come up with it. He usually makes the play. So, he ties it all together back there. You talk to their staff. He's kind of the main communicator in their secondary. And he's a playmaker. So between he and Stutzman, and they weren't part of the turnover crew last week when I think they turned Alabama over 3 times. Neither of those guys were involved. So, and that's kind of Billy's forte. NFL teams that like Billy Bowman, they're just going to love having a center field free safety. These teams that want to play one safety, one high safety, he's going to be their guy.
Maybe any thought on a draft day projection for him as well? I know there's obviously a lot of time left until April.
Yeah, I mean, that's another position that teams like to wait on for whatever reason. You look down the middle of both sides of the ball. I mean, interior offensive linemen, running back, inside linebackers and safeties. Teams just like to wait on those guys. They spend the premium picks on more perimeter players, receivers and corners and guys like that. So, again, I think it's probably going to be somewhere on day 2. Maybe he slips into the 4th round, but I don't think it's going to be that far. He's a good player. He's going to be a starter in the league. There's no doubt about that. Both these guys will be. They'll probably be starters early. Teams will probably be drafting these guys to be starters next season. So on a young defense, on a young football team, I mean, these two guys stick out as these are the 2 seniors on that football team that are going to be draft picks.
Talking with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, with us every week here on Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Scout the competition. He's on Twitter at JimNagy_SB. Jim, before I let you go, I mean, the Senior Bowl, look, when you start giving out invites, that means the game's fast approaching. February 1st, 2025 is the date of the game, 1:30 Central kickoff over there in Mobile. But it's always so much more around the game. Kind of tell us a little bit about what's coming up on the week and how fans can get involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's here now. I mean, we've got about 50 players on the roster already. Looking forward to getting a bunch of these LSU guys signed up once the season's over. But yeah, I'll say to the folks over in Louisiana, I mean, we're a 3-hour drive from Baton Rouge. I go back and forth. That's a day trip for me. I go back and forth a bunch of times to see LSU. So it's an easy drive. The practices are great. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The practices are obviously they're televised on NFL Network and ESPN, but those are really heated, competitive practices. Those are a lot of fun. If you can't get over here for the game on February 1st, I would encourage people to come over and just go to practice and see all the NFL Network and ESPN crews out there and all the NFL guys, the GMs, the head coaches. It's a pretty cool scene. And then we do a Mardi Gras parade on Friday night in a concert downtown, a free concert downtown Mobile, and then game day Saturday. And our game day looks just like a college football Saturday. We will sell out the stadium. There will be tailgating all morning leading up to the 1:30 kickoff. And so if you haven't come over, and we are going to have a number of LSU helmets in the game, if you want to come over and support the Tigers, we'd love to have you over here in Mobile.
Tickets on sale now or soon? Where are we with the tickets?
Yeah, no tickets. Yeah, tickets are on sale now. It's SeniorBowl.com. Real easy. You get an electronic ticket right to your phone. So yeah, they are on sale, and we did sell out last year. And with a couple of these quarterback announcements we're about to make here, we expect another sellout. So we got Cam Ward on board last night, the great quarterback from Miami, and hopefully some other big ones. So and a few SEC guys. So get your tickets. Get them for Christmas. We'd love to have you over.
Y'all get over there, SeniorBowl.com. Just click on the tab that says The Game, And ticket information and everything is right there for you. Again, SeniorBowl.com. Get over there and check it out. It is a first-class event. I know our station always has a presence over there during the week as well, normally with Jake and T-Bob from Off the Bench. So get over there, check out the Senior Bowl. Jim, we appreciate the time all season long. We'll go forth, watch the game this weekend, take a break, talk to you about in a month for the bowl game when the Tigers face, I don't know, we'll find out who and when in a few weeks. Thank you as always for the time.
All right, Matt. No, I hope you're enjoying the Thanksgiving weekend.
You do the very same, Jim. We will grab a break. We'll come back with more on the other side. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
98.1. The Alumni Hall College Football Scoreboard. Alumni Hall, your ultimate Tigers shopping destination.
We start at Clemson, South Carolina, where Clemson leads South Carolina 14-10. A little over 5 minutes to go, and Clemson will have to punt the football back to South Carolina. South Carolina, after they kicked a field goal to make it 14-10, tried an onside kick. Ball was loose. They had a shot at it, but Clemson recovered. However, they go 3 and out. So South Carolina's going to get the football back with about 5 minutes to go and a chance to win this football game. Up at the shoe. This has been one of the ugliest games that you will see all season. If you change these uniforms and told me that this was 2 teams at the bottom of the Sun Belt, I would happily agree with you. Ohio State and Michigan are tied at 10 with 4.5 minutes to go. There have been 4 turnovers in the game, 3 of them in the red zone. Yep. We have seen some of the most atrocious quarterback play in this game that you will see in any game in college this year. So Michigan's got a shot to win this thing. They've got the ball at midfield with 4 minutes to go, and it is tied. Musso, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no.
This is about as ugly a football game as, and it's not because it's 10-10.
No.
I've seen a lot of really good 10-10, but this 14-10 game in South Carolina is a really good football game. This is a lousy football game.
Right. You've just had nothing but mistakes. I mean, it's just been who wants to lose it more than who wants to win it more. It's kind of what it feels like.
Number 8, Tennessee, leading Vanderbilt 33-17 early in the fourth quarter. Vanderbilt returned the opening kickoff of the game for a touchdown. They got a touchdown shortly after that off of a turnover, but it's been all Tennessee ever since. They lead it by 16. Nico's got 4 touchdown passes on the day. Number 23, Illinois leads Northwestern 38-20, about halfway through the fourth quarter. Louisville finishing off an awful season for Kentucky, 41-14. The Cardinals lead it at the 2-minute warning, and they are threatening to punch it in again. UConn leads UMass 40-35. Texas Tech leads West Virginia 45-15. These are fourth quarter scores. UL Lafayette leads UL Monroe 32-16. Army leads UTSA 29-24. They're under 4 minutes to go there. North Texas leads Temple 24-17. Halftime score: Western Michigan leads Eastern Michigan 16-0. Florida International leads Middle Tennessee 21-7 in the second quarter. Other second quarter scores: Coastal Carolina leads Georgia State 14-10. Troy leads Southern Miss 17-8. Rice leads South Florida 17-7. And Old Dominion and Arkansas State just kicking off. Also kicking off at 2 o'clock, Pitt and Boston College. In the 2:30 window, Maryland is at number 4 Penn State, and Nittany Lions a huge favorite to go to 11-1. No Big Ten championship game, but they will be in the playoff. Number 5 Notre Dame at USC. Irish a touchdown favorite there. They win, they are in the playoff. They lose, it's going to be a nervous week in South Bend. Number 6, Miami is at Syracuse. Again, Miami wins. They're in the ACC title game. They lose. They could be out of everything. Yeah. Huge game up at the, I just can't say JMA Wireless Dome. It's the Carrier Dome.
It is. It will always be the Carrier Dome.
You know. Number 9, SMU plays Cal. SMU win puts them in the ACC title game. They are undefeated in league play in their first year in the conference. Iron Bowl, Auburn at number 13. Alabama starts at 2:30. Number 16, Arizona State is at Arizona at 2:30. I would go through the Big 12 tiebreakers, but we only got 2 hours left in the show, so I don't have. I will tell you that the most likely of the scenarios includes Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game. Of all the scenarios, and there's 4 teams that are still in contention for this: Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado. The most likely scenario is Iowa State versus Arizona State, but there's a number of other combinations that could get there too. Arkansas is at number 21, Missouri. Rutgers is at Michigan State. Fresno State at UCLA. NC State at North Carolina. This will most likely be the final game for Mack Brown. They haven't exactly said if he's going to coach the bowl game, but I don't think he will. He is going to coach today. This will be the final game of Mack Brown's career. Central Michigan is at Northern Illinois. UAB at Charlotte. Florida Atlantic's at Tulsa. 3 o'clock kick for Jacksonville State and Western Kentucky, along with Kennesaw State at La Tech, UTEP at New Mexico State. 5 o'clock kickoff for TCU and Cincinnati. Bearcats need a win to be bowl eligible. App State's at Georgia Southern. 5:30 kick for Wyoming at Washington State. 6 o'clock kickoff for the old Oaken Bucket. Number 10, Indiana is a 30-point favorite over Purdue, 29-point favorite.
Same thing.
Florida is at 2-9, Florida State. Real quick, Musso, more disappointing season, Florida State or Oklahoma State?
Florida State.
It's close.
But Florida State was undefeated last year, ain't he?
Okay, but Oklahoma State didn't win a conference game.
I get it.
Preseason top 15.
I get it.
Yeah, degrees of bad. Washington's at number 1. Oregon Ducks are in the Big Ten championship game regardless. They're trying to finish off an undefeated regular season. Big one in College Station. Number 3, Texas at number 20, Texas A&M. First time these teams have met since 2011. Winner faces Georgia in Atlanta next week for the SEC championship. Battle of ranked teams in Ames is number 24, Kansas State's at number 18, Iowa State. Again, big game for Iowa State to try to get into the Big 12 championship game. 7 o'clock kickoff for Nevada at number 22 UNLV. Rebels trying to get to 10 wins on the season and a championship game in the Mountain West title game with Boise State, trying to ruin the Broncos' run to the college football playoff next week. Virginia is at Virginia Tech. Both teams need a win to be bowl eligible. And Brent Pry is in a little bit of trouble at Virginia Tech. We'll see what happens there. Marshall is at James Madison. Late kickoff, number 19 BYU hosts Houston at 9:15. Again, BYU's got an opportunity to get to the Big 12 championship game, but they need help. Yep. Air Force is at San Diego State. 10 o'clock kickoff from the island, New Mexico and Hawaii. No television for that. And the Bayou Classic going on down in New Orleans. Let me see where my scoreboard is there. Southern leads Grambling 7-0. That game has just moved into the second quarter at the Superdome, and that is your college football scoreboard. Michigan inside the 15-yard line. We're inside of 2 minutes at the shoe. Live from Rouse's, where, man, we got so many things that we can help you out with this holiday season. You got a holiday party. Rouse's, they'll make full or half pans of their jambalaya, of their gumbo, their red beans, white beans, fettuccine Alfredo. Plus, you can get all your local favorites, the mini po' boys, mini muffaladas, meat pies, crawfish pies, Boudin egg rolls. I can vouch for those.
Yes.
They've got the best finger sandwiches, and Rouse's Market, your holiday catering headquarters and the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. I know, Musso, because they cater this show through 12 weeks, and they've done it very well. Now, listen, we've enjoyed this stuff. Our producers, it's invaluable for them, okay? So from all of our production staff at Guarantee, we want to say thank you to the Rouse's Market people. They've been terrific all year. We'll take a break. Shay Dixon on recruiting. This ought to be good. When we come back, Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WDGL and HD1 Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
.1 Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Recruiting with Shea Dixon of On3 Sports. Presented by Ralph's Market. Ralph's Market, where quality and customer service are a family tradition.
The Bears count down to kickoff, 3 hours and 45 minutes. We're waiting on a ruling on this play in the end zone at Clemson, where it looked like South Carolina might have scored a touchdown, but apparently they're going to look at this for about half an hour.
Yeah,
So let's bring in Shea Dixon from On3. Shay, what kind of week have you had? Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Charlie. Same as last week. Busy.
Well, you tell me. I'm just going to kind of give you open-ended here at the beginning of where LSU is, what's happened in the last week as far as commitments that they have lost, and then we'll get into visitor list this weekend.
Yeah, so I guess since Underwood, which we talked since then, correct? They did.
Yeah, we talked last Saturday. Yeah. We carved out a whole extra segment for you.
Yeah, they did. That's right. I forgot. They did not have any commits visit other schools that weekend, and then now in the meantime, they did have a decommitment. Jesse Harold, a kid out of Florida, who I think if we go back to Charlie, my age-old recruiting adage, watch what they do, not what they say. And Jesse Harold, since committing, has just not been a visitor very much. He doesn't pop up at games, any of that. And he was set to be at FSU this weekend. And kind of behind the scenes, LSU had a sense that, hey, look, this one is probably going to go FSU's way as they try to keep a lot of guys in state late with the pushes they're making. And sure enough, he reopened things, and he'll be at that game today. And everybody expects he would wind up at FSU, but they still have a top 100 edge rusher committed in Damian Shanklin. He's doubled down on it. And by and large, Charlie, everyone minus maybe 3 or 4 guys in this class have come out and said, I'm at LSU today, and I'm signing with LSU on Wednesday, which is right where you want to be, because now you can kind of narrow that focus down to just a handful of guys.
Do you still consider Derek Meadows a commitment at this point?
Until he says he's not, he is, I guess. He fits into the same as Jesse Harold, the edge rusher who just decommitted out of Florida. For me, we're talking about a kid from Michigan who plays high school football in Vegas and has visited again Michigan, Notre Dame, has gotten talks heated back up with Bama, was supposed to visit Bama, didn't, was supposed to visit LSU this weekend, didn't, and now goes into signing day, committed to LSU. I'll be a little surprised if that sticks and doesn't change before then. I think he'll end up elsewhere. And that was one of those that as the months went on and he never visited after he committed, that people started wondering, hey, he's on every other campus, but he doesn't visit here. Now he's not here this weekend. He's from very far away. It's not like it's a Louisiana kid or East Texas or South Mississippi. So, yes, that's one where when you go national like that and then they're just not visiting very often and they don't come on the final weekend, it just seems like that's trending away, and it's something that even the public who follows recruiting has kind of felt for about 3 or 4 months now.
Give me the latest on Jakeem Stewart.
Yeah, there were reports that he might be on campus today. I just talked to Clyde Alexander, who has kind of helped guide him through the process. He said Jakeem's at home today, so it doesn't sound like he's going to be on LSU's campus. I'll be out there on the sidelines before the game. We'll see if he does pop up. But the more notable news was he did not make the Ohio State visit, which was planned this weekend. So there has been a lot of Southern Cal buzz, which was the team that everyone thought was running fourth, or at least, it was Ohio State, Oregon out front. Now suddenly I think people are starting to feel like, is this an LSU versus Southern Cal battle? And that just goes to show this one is tough to gauge. It's every visit has been one where a staff felt like they had a pretty good shot, and he's going to announce on Wednesday. We do know that. If he is anywhere this weekend, it would only be LSU. But again, they're saying that he's at home today. So may not visit anywhere before the dead period hits on Sunday at midnight, Charlie. And then there's no more face-to-face contact. And you can talk on the phone, all that. Zoom, whatever it might be, but not in person. And then Wednesday you sign. So LSU's in this. I don't think by any means they're out completely. Now you can talk NIL all day. You can talk all the different pitches each school's given. But I do maybe sense that, and I always thought Oregon was a little far from home. I thought Ohio State was going to be really one of the final two, and him not visiting this weekend speaks volumes. I think this one's coming down to staying home at LSU or heading to the West Coast and playing for the Trojans, which is where a lot of people predicted him coming out of the visit out to California a week ago, Charlie.
This is where Frank Wilson makes his living.
Yeah, right here.
So we'll see.
Shay, what about DJ Pickett? Did he make the trip as scheduled this weekend to LSU?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest news of the whole weekend, really. Your longtime commitment with Underwood gone. He is your highest-ranked commit. He's the number one corner in America. He's a top 5 player. And the goal was, hey, come on the final weekend before signing day. We'll be the last team to be face-to-face with you. We can get everything figured out that we need to in terms of kind of crossing the T's and dotting the I's on this final leg of his recruitment. And he showed up on Friday morning as planned, and he'll head out on Sunday afternoon. And they've already got a 5-star Cade Phillips cornerback who they flipped from Texas. Has said he's locked in. He's signing Wednesday. Aiden Anding, who's on threes, number one corner in Louisiana. No shocker there. He's been great for Ruston. He's committed and locked in. He was going to commit to Texas at one point, ended up getting the LSU offer and committed to the Tigers. And now Gordy Raymond, once again, he's got him on campus now, and we're living in the NIL era, obviously. So some things are beyond Corey's control. But, Charlie, I'd say when you hire when you hire a guy like Corey Raymond to come home and rebuild DBU, if he's able to get this across the finish line, or LSU's able to, that's the number 1 corner, the number 4 corner, and the number 1 corner in Louisiana. I don't think you could have asked of anything more for guys who many people, analyst-wise, that know more than I do about football, feel are going to play right away when they get to LSU. So it is good news that he's here. It would be a back-breaking weekend if he didn't show up and suddenly he was at Miami or somewhere else this weekend. But he is in Baton Rouge for multiple nights all the way up until Sunday.
And look at me burying the lead. Thank you, Musa. Appreciate that. South Carolina, Lenore Sellers on a 3rd down and 11 with about a 20-yard run for a touchdown that has given South Carolina the lead. Clock ticking, under 40 seconds now. Clemson's got the ball, trying to get down and put themselves in position for a game-tying field goal. Michigan has kicked a field goal. They lead Ohio State 13-10 with 40 seconds remaining, and Ohio State has got to go a long way. They've already missed a couple of short field goals today, so they've got a long way to go in 40 seconds to get there. Shay, who else is on campus today of note, committed or uncommitted, that we haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah, I think the big one, obviously, or the Jakeem uncommitted-wise, was one we were watching. They're in it for 5-star Solomon Thomas, who's still committed to FSU, and he was in town a week ago. So that's an uncommitted guy that he's not here today, but to keep an eye on. But I just think that, look, Harlem Berry, JT Lindsay, Shanklin out of Indianapolis, all of these guys all coming in ticket the final weekend before signing day was paramount. And then you get into the future and guys like Elijah Haven at Dunham, who's the number 1 quarterback for 2027. A bunch of 2026 guys are on campus. But by and large, the goal was, hey, if you can get in for this final weekend and you're a commit, we'd love to have you here. And that kind of speaks towards, hey, look, everything's good to go for next Wednesday. So the bulk of the visitors today, most importantly, are the ones who are already committed. And that's exactly what you want to see. Now, we'll note, Keelan Moses is not here today. He will be at the A&M Texas game, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But with the reclassification of Zach Weeks, the 3rd Weeks brother, they have 4 linebackers now committed, so pretty good haul for Blake Baker.
Shay, last thing. In prior years, in the college football recruiting as we used to know it, once you got past that Sunday before signing date, everything went silent. In years past, they used to go hide kids at duck camps to make sure they didn't take any phone calls. But anything you're expecting last-second shots between Monday and Wednesday, or does this thing pretty much go quiet when the sun goes down tomorrow night?
And no, look, we'll be tracking Pickett, for instance. Guys have not, come out and very much said, hey, look, it's completely over with. I'm signing. But I also think, Charlie, instead of having to go, kidnap a kid and drive them around until signing day, the goal for teams between Sunday and Wednesday is to kidnap the agent's phones. I think that would be the real goal here. And then you'd be in a good spot. Because for me, I think that's what Monday to Wednesday is about to be about, is where that's where the third parties shine between the collective and a prospect is the agents and everybody else involved here. And look, we'll see. I think this is the wildest era that of the past couple of decades, certainly, and it's very tough to predict. And we have seen it go LSU's way and go against them in a historic way with Underwood. So I'm not ruling anything out over the next 5 days. But if LSU can hold on tight and get into the portal and make some moves, I think this team can be roster-wise, which is the main discussion point, more talented than next year than they are this year.
That hunting camp thing is real, by the way.
That's insane.
It's like, what happened? Where's that kid? Nobody can get in touch. They took him to the hunting camp because they don't have a phone out there before pre-cell phones. They took him to the hunting camp where there's no phone and nobody's going to talk to him. They'll bring him back from the hunting camp with his papers on Wednesday. That happened more than once. Shay, we appreciate what you've done for us all season. I know it's going to be a hectic first few days of the week for you. And then get a little rest, man. I know it's been hectic for you. So thanks for everything, man.
I'm sad it's over, but listen, the 4th is the end of it, and the 9th is the portal. So I'll just pick right back up. I'll get some rest in between.
A couple of days, and that's it. Thanks a lot, Shay Dixon from On 3. Well, looky here. South Carolina, Clemson was in field goal position with 17 seconds to go. Had a first down. They were on Moose, about the 20-yard line, maybe the 15-yard line, 18-yard line, something like that. Well within field goal range. Decided to try to run another play through a short pass, went off the Clemson receiver's hands into the waiting arms of the South Carolina defensive back, who picked it off. South Carolina takes the ball. They will watch Sellers take a knee, and the clock go tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. 0-0-0, South Carolina 17, Clemson 14.
What a year.
Closes the book on Clemson's playoff chances. Does it completely? Well, I guess he could still get in the ACC championship game. At any rate.
Can they? They needed a Miami loss.
Yeah, they need help. For sure. They need
already.
Help.
That's
but this is not a conference loss. Maybe I shouldn't run the playoff stuff out there. But South Carolina finishes 9-3.
What a year for Beamer, man.
Shane Beamer has done. If it wasn't for Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, a lot of SEC Coach of the Year votes for him.
He's done nothing but overachieve there.
And they have gone final at the Shoe. Michigan wins it 13-10 over Ohio State. Huge ramifications here. This means that Indiana is going to the Big Ten championship game to face Oregon, and Ohio State at 10-2, a playoff wild card, maybe a home game, maybe not. We'll see. But Michigan pulls the big upset. They were a 19.5-point underdog and win it straight up. Michigan Ohio State has not beaten them since 19, which it's like 1,800 and something days or whatever. And if you think they're not counting, you're crazy.
Look at that. First 4-game winning streak versus Ohio State since 88-91.
Wow.
I mean,
it has been a heck of a day in college football so far, and we got plenty left to go.
Indeed.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back in. Matt Moscona is with us next. We're brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. For all your holiday needs, rice. We had some turkey gumbo last night, so with our friends from Supreme Rice. Yeah, you get the turkey leftovers and put them in a big gumbo last night with the parboiled rice. Very close to the restaurant quality rice. It's clean, it's firm, absolutely delicious. Use it at your holiday parties, your holiday family get-togethers, red beans, white beans, stews, gumbos, you name it. Make it with Supreme Rice. Pick it up wherever you buy rice. Save some money and support our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley and the surrounding area in southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. Part of the Climate Smart program promoting methane emissions reductions and water conservation. From Rouse's, this is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. After Further Review on Game Day. After Further Review is heard weekday afternoons at 3 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from AFR, here's Matt Moscona.
To kick off a little under now 3.5 hours as we just watch Michigan walking off the field after beating Ohio State. We bring in Matt Moscona. Scone, good afternoon. Happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
I'm good, guys, and I totally understand why Michigan would waste $12 million on a kid that's never taken a snap after watching that football game.
Ooh,
Did you see the interception in the end zone? Yes. Oh, my God.
Before you
are atrocious.
Literally before you tweeted that out, I was sitting here for Musso, we're in the break, and I'm like, well, this is why they're paying $12 million for Underwood, and you put the tweet out, I mean, like 5 seconds later. So we were on the same page there. Hey, let me ask you this way, Matt. If your life depended on it, okay, a college football team winning a game this coming Saturday, who would you pick?
What do you mean?
If your life depended on a team winning a football game, I'm trying to.
Any team. Okay.
I'm trying to get a creative way to say it. Who's good? Who's the best in college football? If your life was on the line, who would you take?
Who are they playing?
Yeah, well, let's talk about wins above replacement. They're just playing garden variety team.
Oregon. I would take Oregon. I don't know that I definitively believe that in my soul. Quite honestly, I'd probably still take Georgia if I had to guess. They're a flawed football team, but I still think their defense is good and they have a championship pedigree and a championship coach. But your point is but Handy, I love this about college football. whenever it looks like everyone is playing for the consolation because you have a super dominant Georgia or Alabama or whoever it is, like everyone's playing for second place. You actually have a sport now where I was hanging out with my brother earlier today. He's a Notre Dame grad. He's going, for the first time in his life, he's going, I think like we might actually be able to win. I'm like, you're not wrong because nobody is super dominant.
Yeah.
Give me your best guess. How good a chance do you think South Carolina has to sneak in the back door of this thing?
1.3%. South Carolina's not getting in. They listen. I think South Carolina is playing good football, and they might be deserving. The losses are going to be hard to overcome, but guys, that's the same thing with Alabama. The bad losses are going to be hard. Like Alabama lost to a 500 Vanderbilt team, they lost to a 500 Oklahoma team, and they lost on the road to Tennessee. You're not going to overcome that. Like if a team was going to backdoor into it, you got to have a more impressive resume, and Bama and South Carolina don't have it, unfortunately, for the two of them. Guys, this has been my take, and Muse can vouch for this. My take forever has been SEC baseline 3 teams. Like, you can look at the history of the 4-team playoff and what the committee has done, and over the decade of a 4-team playoff, if you just extrapolate that to 12, there would have been 3 times where the SEC would have gotten more than 3, and twice it would have been 1 team. In 2014, 2015, Alabama would have been the only rep. We all just assumed, oh, you get 4, you get 5, you get 6. The cannibalization of the league it happens, and I don't think there's this great desire from the committee and people around college football to just usher 4, 5, 6 SEC teams in the playoffs. So I think this is the norm. This is what you're going to see.
If there's not a 4th SEC team, is there a 4th Big Ten team? If we're going to put Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana all in the playoff, that's all locked up. Okay, so then where does it?
Do you disagree?
I do not. And so I'm leading into my next question, which is where does the other team come from? If we're going to put Notre Dame in, 4 from the Big Ten, 3 from the SEC, the ACC and Big 12 champions, and a group of 5, that leaves 1 spot. Where does it come from?
I think you're going to get a second ACC team in.
Okay.
And I think the unfortunate thing for a team like Tulane is the door was open.
Yep.
The door was open to get 2 G5s in, and had Tulane beaten Memphis and then gone and beaten Army, then they could have had a case to be ranked higher than maybe the Big 12 conference champion. And that's gone now because they grabbed the throat against Memphis at home yesterday. So I think you will have 2 ACC teams in. I think SMU will win today, and I think SMU will be in regardless of next week's result. And I think whoever, I guess it'll be Miami. And I guess if Miami beats Syracuse today, Miami will be in regardless of the result next week.
Give me your thoughts on the game in College Station tonight. The winner plays Georgia in Atlanta next week. Who you like?
I just am still a believer in Texas. I mean, here's the thing. I know everyone looks at Texas and Texas A&M, and we talk about the history and tradition of this rival, because the guys on the field would have been between 5 and 9 years old the last time this game was played. You can tell me all you want about how those guys care about they don't know anything about it. Like it's not a thing for them. Maybe it will be in time. It's something for the fans, no doubt, and for college football fans as a whole. But the guys playing in that game, you can't tell me that that's something that they've rooted their careers into, because they've never played it. It's never mattered to them. So I still think Texas is the better team. I have major questions about Marcel Reed's ability to throw the football. No Le'Veon Moss for Texas A&M. I think limits their running game. A&M's got a good defensive front 7, but I think Texas's defense has been really good all year. I still think Texas might be the best team, probably is the best team in the SEC. I think Texas wins in College Station today.
All right, LSU and Oklahoma. Neither of these teams have had the season that they wanted. They were both in the preseason top 20. Neither one of them is there now. So what do you make of this game? They both like to finish on a positive note, but it's not going to be one of these games that's going to greatly alter the big picture. So what's on the line tonight?
Did y'all notice Game Day didn't pick this today?
I hadn't thought about it.
I did notice that, actually. I did notice that.
Yeah.
I mean, we always look for the game day picks to make a post at LouisianaSports.net, and they just skipped this game.
Wow, I didn't think about it.
LSU and Oklahoma got skipped on College Game Day, which is so weird. But yeah, what are they playing for? All the intangibles, right? Pride, this or that. Neither team's going to the playoff. It's a disappointing season for both. I'm hopeful that this becomes a thing, but it'll, meaning LSU, Oklahoma, the Thanksgiving weekend. I'm hopeful it becomes a thing, but it'll only happen with these two teams, with that manifesting on the field. So you're going to have good competitive games. I think for the players, when they tee it up and kick it off, they don't care what their record is. Like, they're going to go play hard because they want to win a game. I can understand the fan disappointment, but I really hope that this is a great environment in Tiger Stadium, because it's still LSU and Oklahoma. It's two great brands, even if LSU is going to wear these stupid alternate uniforms again, because apparently that's LSU's brand now. But I would love to see LSU go win this game on their home field in Tiger Stadium. But what are they playing for? Not a lot. What happens on Wednesday for both these teams is far more significant than the outcome of this football game.
Yeah, I'm going to let you and Hunt and Muse fight the uniform wars. I'm going to sit that one out, though I tend to agree with you. To get this game as a permanent fixture on the final week of the season is something that I would like to see, Matt, with one caveat. There has to be some balance to the schedule, okay? If you're talking about one permanent opponent or three permanent opponents or whatever we end up with when they finish kicking this can down the road, I'm fine with LSU playing Oklahoma every year. It's my preferred end of the year. But it doesn't mean that Alabama gets Mississippi State every year. It doesn't mean that, the permanent opponent of Texas A&M is Vandy, okay? I'm for this, but we got to have some kind of balance. I think we all are in agreement that this year's schedule is nothing close to balanced when you talk about Texas and Oklahoma. So as long as there is some balance, I'm all for this continuing. I think it doesn't have to be a rivalry. It doesn't have to be rooted in, 100 career matchups between the two teams. It could just be a really damn good football game at the end of every year. And, LSU, Arkansas, I never thought they tried to manufacture that as a rivalry. It wasn't. The A&M was better, but I always felt like LSU was kind of in Texas's place. That's who Texas A&M is supposed to be playing. So just give me this as a really good football game every year, but it's got to be balanced. That's my only thing.
I agree, and I think it will. I just don't know that we're going to get to 9 games in the league, because this is a great example. Like, look at what's happening right now, guys. If you play a 9th game, you are guaranteeing half of your league another loss. Mm-hmm. And the SEC is now looking at a year where you're probably going to get 3 in, and the Big Ten is going to get 4. How do you go convince Greg Sankey and all the teams in the league, hey, let's guarantee our league, half of our league, another loss? I mean, there's the money argument, but is a $1 billion TV deal with ESPN and ABC enough money? I mean, I just don't know that we ever see that to where you have any more equity in the schedule. I mean, Hanny, I'm with you on it. I think I don't care about Georgia and Auburn. I don't care about Tennessee and Alabama. I don't care one iota. Outside of those fan bases, nobody cares. We all just want to see good football. So give me an equitable schedule among the 16 teams in the league, but we know they're going to go to hell and high water to protect those 2 games.
Yeah, and it's a reasonable concern. I think they avoided the Armageddon that would have been an 11-1 Indiana team getting in over a 10-2 SEC team. If we had ended up with multiple teams like a couple of weeks ago, it looked like we might, and then all of the upsets started happening. So we're not going to have that. If just, for example, an 11-1 Indiana had gotten in ahead of a 10-2 South Carolina team that had a loss to Clemson, then you would have said, well, wait a minute now, why am I scheduling tough out of conference? Why would I add a conference game? We don't have that scenario, but it's a reasonable point. Everybody's going to be watching the committee real close. Yeah. Do you value hard wins? How much do you penalize them for bad losses? What's more important, having a good win or avoiding a bad loss? All of those come together when the committee comes together next week. So we'll see. Scone, whiskey and wine following the game?
Yep. Well, we'll do a bowl game, but other than that, it'll be the final time for the regular season. So T-Bob and I will be over at Don Juan as soon as the clock hits 0, so you can watch us on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube or Facebook.
Have a great show, and we'll talk to you whenever we reconvene, whenever that is.
Okay, guys. We'll see you.
All right. 2:30 window is underway. We'll keep you up to date on the scores of all of those games. Here at Rouse's, our LeBear's countdown to kickoff time, about 3 hours and 15 minutes. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Off the bench on Game Day. Presented by Shell. Shell is the rhythm of Louisiana. Off the Bench is heard weekday mornings at 7 on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Now from OTB, here's Jacob Hester.
Let's dive into LSU and Oklahoma. This one, as we know, is going to be inside Tiger Stadium. We know Oklahoma's coming off their biggest win of the year, only their second win in SEC play, but certainly looked the part against Alabama a week ago. T-Bob, what makes you the most nervous about this Oklahoma football team?
I mean, I think it's simply that they, what they've been ever since they fired their offensive coordinator, what they've been doing offensively lines up with your weaknesses. Brian Kelly even talked about it at the press conference on Monday, basically saying that their body of work in regards to running quarterbacks has not been the best this year. Of course, there was a good Taylor Green game, but then there's probably about 3 negative data points there as well. And if you haven't watched, if people listening, if you haven't watched this Oklahoma team as of late, So they fired their OC in the middle of the season, and then 2 weeks ago, they just straight up became a sort of modern triple option quarterback run team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are leaning on Jackson Arnold's legs. I was talking to Gabe Eichert about this last night. It went on the podcast with him and Teddy Lehman. And and they said, look, man, there's going to be an option up the middle, an option on the edge, and the quarterback can keep so. That is something that has given LSU trouble at times. But I will say this, Jake, that is very similar to what you ran into last week against Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought the defense acquitted themselves very well there. So that would be another positive data point. So offensively, Oklahoma's found a bit of confidence here. The O-line's playing better. They got healthier. They don't have any weapons. They're down their top 6 receivers. So it's not really through the air, but on the ground that LSU has to be at their best to stop. But although, if you had asked me before last week, I maybe would have felt awful. I do feel better on that side of the ball now after that Vanderbilt game.
When you look at their leading receiver, T-Bob's point, I mean, he's only got 320 yards on the year. You've got 4 or 5 players that have at least that. And so they are not getting it done through the air. And so, for me, what's the game plan going to be? Is it going to be, hey, like we've done in the past in these type of situations, and we're going to play cover one and say, hey, we're playing man across the board. We're going to have more guys towards the line of scrimmage, and we're going to, dare you to throw the football, basically, because you look at the game plan last week, and that's kind of what it was. And you got on one double move, and outside of that, you shut that down. So I would assume it's going to be the same. And if your edge rushers, and that's key, T-Bob, your edge rushers were so good last week at keeping contained, staying with their assignment, and that's why Diego Pavia and that offense can never get going. If you can get that same production from those 2 players, then I think you can be successful against this Oklahoma offense.
I'm a bit worried for LSU's offense here. Now, on one hand, if Oklahoma has struggled anywhere, it's been giving up some big pass plays, and so that would bode well for LSU. But that's a really good Oklahoma front seven. And although I thought Paul Mabenga played much better last week, we highlighted it and we celebrated it. Vanderbilt's front seven, Oklahoma's front seven is Jake. I mean, you tell me, is Oklahoma's front seven better than Alabama's? Or better than Florida's?
I mean, I would put them all par with both those teams that you're talking about.
Okay, so that's my point, right? Is that, you were way better last week, but admittedly, although Vandy's pretty good up front, they're not quite as good as those guys.
Right.
This is a much bigger test. And Brent Venables, being a defensive-minded guy, the same way Mike Elko is going to look to scheme up a lot of stuff to try to maybe exploit the youth of Mabenga and company if he is still in there. So I guess my overall point is we've seen the offensive line struggle against some good front sevens lately. I think you got a really good front seven coming against Saturday, so that does give me some cause for concern.
To T-Bob's point, right now Oklahoma is 4th in the SEC as far as yards given up. I believe they're 8th in points, but they're only giving up 311 yards per game. Texas is 1st, Tennessee 2nd, South Carolina 3rd, and then Oklahoma comes in at number 4. When you look at what they give up through the air, 205 yards through the air, but really stingy on the ground, only 105 yards given up on the ground as well, and one of the top in the league. And so even when they've struggled, T-Bob, they have been pretty good on defense. That's why you make a move, and you look, defensive head coach, it's no surprise there, but that's why you make a move at the offensive coordinator position. So there's been stretches where they have just they've not been good. That's the obvious statement, because they go on the road and they beat Auburn. Remember, they had to come back in that. They got a pick six, found a way to win that one. Then you lose against Texas. You lose against South Carolina. You get ran out of the building, really, in both those games. But then you come back and you have a close loss against Ole Miss on the road. You beat Maine. That's not going to do anything, but you get your job done. Then you lose a close one on the road against Missouri, and then you beat Alabama last week. And so the last 4 weeks, it has looked like a completely different team than it did when you were going through some of the losses of Texas and South Carolina.
Well, and to be fair, like LSU, if I sound a bit concerned about Oklahoma, it's because we just seen them what they can be like at their peak, right? But they have been very up and down, similar to LSU in that way. Like what LSU is going to show up, like the Arkansas, will it be the Arkansas defensive team? Will it be the team of the first half against A&M? Will it be the team that moved up and down the field, the offense that moved up and down the field at will against South Carolina? Or will it be the team that we saw against Alabama that looks completely incapable of any offensive success? Will Garrett Nussmeier be playing instinctive and snapping passes, or will he look a little hesitant and reticent? Oklahoma's kind of in the same boat, which Oklahoma are you going to get? Yeah. Even in that last month, the good month, like the one that lost to Mizzou, or the one that ran Alabama just out the building, like one of the most physically dominant performances of the entire season, beating the Tide 24-3. I will say this, that game was in Norman. This game was on the road. I know we talked about that a lot Alabama weekend and didn't mean anything, but it should mean something here. If you look at those results and you see that, well, Oklahoma, that's when they've struggled this year mainly, has been on the road.
Yeah, I mean, the Alabama game is the one time that you just didn't show up. I mean, you take a look at the other games. Obviously, USC, you have a chance. A&M, you're in complete control until you weren't. Even the Florida game, fourth quarter, you go into the start of the fourth quarter tied, and that's the one. Certainly, they got away from you. One of your favorite stats, stop rate. Have you looked at that this week?
No, give me a stop rate. Give me a stop rate, Jakey Jake.
It's going to favor Oklahoma because LSU right now is 86th in the country, 58.5% of the time.
Damn it.
Oklahoma's actually
fell off. We were in the 60s like much of the year, dude. That's a bit disappointing.
Oklahoma's
it's still up from like the 120 last year, but still.
I mean, last year was Oklahoma's 12th, 72.1%.
So this, Jake, is why I think stop rate is a great statistic, because think about Oklahoma from a points allowed perspective. They're okay, right? What'd you say? They were 8th in the SEC?
Yes.
But so what this tells you is the majority of the time they're getting the stops, but their offense just sucks.
Yep.
And is giving the ball back to the other team a ton. And so, Oklahoma is getting a super high percentage of stops, but teams are getting more opportunities. That's where Oklahoma's offensive shift in philosophy becomes dangerous, because all of a sudden it's more ball control, more game control, and trying to limit those possessions that you're giving back to the opponent. And so that defense and that stop rate can really shine.
Right now, when you look at stop rate, Notre Dame 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3, Tennessee 4. So all playoff teams right now.
Yeah, imagine that, right?
Now you have some others,
championship. Something's never changed, dude. You know who said that? I'm pretty sure that Olaf, right? Some things never change. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Right? That's Frozen, from one of the Frozens. I don't remember who said it.
I've got 4 older boys, and Harlow's not quite there yet, so I couldn't tell you Frozen.
But okay, so whatever. I don't know who's going to win the football game, is the overall point.
Brandon Hawley here. Wood windows with a lifetime guarantee? ReliefWindows.com.
Eagle 98.1, WTGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
The best kept secret in town is
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Opposing Media. Presented by Rev. Rev. Fiber fast internet made in Louisiana.
Our buddy Eddie Radosevich, who boldly told us that they were going to come in year one and beat up Vanderbilt or somebody like that, so just like the first day in prison. Well, that might have been a problem with Vanderbilt this year. Eddie, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
We've requested house arrest because I don't think Oklahoma wants to get anywhere near a prison.
Hey, first run through the SEC for OU. What have been the general impressions there?
Love the passion, love the atmospheres, love everything about the conference except for the scoreboard at the end of the fourth quarter most times. It's been rough. I think it's been rough. You know, obviously their offensive problems well documented. Had to fire Seth Luttrell coming out of South Carolina week. And if it's not been one thing, it's another. Just to give you perspective, they're going into Saturday. They'll be down their top 6 wide receivers that they would have had at the beginning of August. And for the better part of the entirety of the year, they haven't had any. They've had 5 of 6, basically. Brennan Thompson's been available. So it's been rough. And, I think it's certainly been a little bit of a learning moment for a lot of people within the program. And, coming off the Alabama win, vibes are better. But, it's much probably like LSU or what it looks like from the outside looking in, that it could be better. And, the fan base is certainly riled up right now.
How much of these struggles, Eddie, are the issues on the roster? How much are injuries, sort of thing? How much of it is just a big step up in competition relative to what OU maybe had been used to seeing in the Big 12?
Yeah, I would say probably 30% injuries, 30%, mismanagement of a roster. They went out and got some guys in the portal that it's taken time for them to come along on the offensive line. And, I certainly think that injuries have played a factor in that. You have another part in which Jackson Arnold and the quarterback situation with Oklahoma. So it's been a little bit of everything, to be completely honest with you. And I think that that's maybe the most frustrating thing is it seems like, okay, you get a couple guys back and then, Jackson plays poorly. You feel like you start get going and then they have some turnovers. So it's been rough offensively. Obviously, a lot of the issues within games have been because of the offense, and they've kind of been searching. And I guess big picture wise, the big talk around here is what they're going to do with the offensive coordinator job. And it's a big hire for Brent Venables. He has to get right, or he will be on certainly a hotter seat than it probably already is.
You and I talked in Dallas, and I asked you specifically about Dylan Gabriel, and you correct me if I'm misinterpreting what you said, but generally speaking, the feeling was it was known that Dylan Gabriel wasn't going to be the guy after 2023 because they were going to hand the reins over to Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any regret there at that decision right now?
certainly the way that Jackson has looked at times and just the unpreparedness, I guess, of what he is as a quarterback right now. There's probably a little bit of that, but at the same time, I think that Oklahoma's problems offensively have been specific with the quarterback. Until the last couple of weeks when they started playing a couple younger guys, we're talking about an offensive line that truly might be one of the worst units Oklahoma's put on the field of my lifetime, which is 37 years. So, they've been really kind of punished for recruiting classes in 2021, 22, a little bit of 2020 that just haven't come together and didn't come to fruition. And a lot of those guys aren't with the program anymore, so they had to go out to the portal. And, I don't know how much of it is just misevaluation in the portal or just the flat out that there's not a whole lot of guys that are going to be able to come in and make a difference, let alone, get 5 new starters in there. So those have been problems. The injuries have been, certainly a problem. It's kind of a guessing game on who's available week to week. And then, obviously the offense coordinator situation was kind of nasty. I mean, they had to make a move with Seth Luttrell, and they've kind of found their way, maybe found an idea. I mean, we're talking about an offense that, coming out of the 10th game of the year in Alabama, it's like, okay, maybe they do have an identity. It's taken a long while, but it's certainly going to be interesting with the quarterback position what happens when they do find a new OC.
So it's a good segue. So LSU has struggled this year, notably against running quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold ran for 130 against Alabama, only threw it 11 times. Did they find something against Bama that they can play forward against LSU?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they found something that maybe they can lean on, but I think it's a little naive to think they're going to be able to just throw the ball 11 times for 68 yards like they did last week against Alabama and go down and win a night game in Death Valley. So I think that they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit. I do think they're going to lean on the ground game, and it's certainly something that had become an issue with Jackson just in terms of running the football. He turned the ball over quite a bit. And they have found something. Xavier Robinson's kind of popped onto the scene as well, a running back that truly was looking – he was working scout team a month ago. And he's a local product out of Midwest City, just north of Norman. And he's been really, really good over the last 6-ish quarters. But to think that, and he's a guy that had some fumbling issues in practice, going all the way back into the early onset of the season. So they found something. But, I mean, we're talking about an offense that has been so bad at times this year. You really just don't know if they can do it from week to week, and it's certainly going to be interesting. They have been able to run the ball a little bit, even starting with the Ole Miss game a couple weeks ago. That has been a consistent thing for Joe John Finley since he's taken over play calling duty.
Eddie Radosevich is with us, Soonerscoop.com. Pretty consistently, though, we have seen Oklahoma's defense play well. I mean, I remember back to the Tennessee game. I mean, that was a pretty eye-opening performance at that night game in Norman to limit that, what at the time everybody thought was high-flying Tennessee offense. So what do they do exceptionally well defensively right now through 11 games?
Stop the run. That's been a consistency all year. And they're coming off of, obviously, their best game of the year defensively. Maybe one of the better defensive performances just as a whole against Alabama that this fan base had seen in multiple, and maybe even decades. 2004 against Texas, the 12-0 win, is kind of the common game that has been brought up here over the last couple of days in kind of the wake of the Alabama game. But they've been able to stop the run. And that's been something that they've been very, very good about. The front seven, they feel like, is decent enough that they've been able to do just that. And when they've been beat over the top, it's been over the top is when they've been beat. So, I think that the worry or the concern going into Saturday night's game is, can Nussmeier take advantage of them? They've been taken advantage of, as maybe you saw in the Missouri game in the final 2 minutes of the game, which is still insane that you're up 7 with 2 minutes left and lost by 7 in regulation. But it's not so much of a concern when you talk about what they've been able to do against the run. So it's a really good unit. I think that, Brent Venables talks about, are they elite status? Not quite yet, but, it's a far cry from what fans have seen, what Oklahoma was able to put together or out there defensively under Lincoln Riley. It's almost kind of night and day, which is ironic when you look at the offense, and that is night and day from what people are used to around here.
So the issues in the pass defense, if LSU keeps Garrett Nussmeier upright, he can hit his back foot and throw it a little bit. Like, how do you think that matchup plays out Saturday night?
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. outside of Lacey, I don't think that, certainly the names aren't the guys that Oklahoma saw the last time around when they played in the Peach Bowl. But at the same time, they have been very good. And I think that you're starting to see something of a secondary that I think that moving forward, Oklahoma fans will be truly happy with. Their best cornerback right now is a true freshman. Peyton Bowen's little brother, Eli Bowen. He had the pick in the Alabama game on Saturday. They've kind of gone through it with that other cornerback position, but the back end's been really good at safety. That's probably one of the stronger units that they have on the team. So they've been tested, and at the same time, the guys that have made plays they've been exceptional plays, and it's almost kind of one of those like, what else can you do? That was a great pitch and catch. So I think they feel like this defense, as bad as the record may look, it's kept them in every game, maybe outside of the South Carolina game that was over 9 plays into it. And that had nothing to do with the defense. That had, direct response to 3 turnovers immediately out of the gate. So they've kept them in ball games. A lot of the games you leave, if you're an Oklahoma fan, you've said, the defense has done good enough. They just didn't have any help on the other side of the ball.
Such a wild thing to think about with Oklahoma. What a wild time to be in right now. And what's the mood around Sooner fans? Like, how many people are planning on making Thanksgiving weekend? How many plan to make this trip to Baton Rouge? Are people excited for it?
Yeah, I think there's certainly, again, this is catching me the week after they beat Alabama. If you would have talked to me last week, I probably would have said a little bit opposite. But, I think that they're definitely rejuvenated to a certain extent. It's an Oklahoma fan base that I think is still excited for, things to come in the future. But I've talked to quite a few people that are going down to Baton Rouge, and certainly an excuse to get down to New Orleans for the weekend. And it should be fun. I think there's a lot of people that are excited about it. Anybody that's not excited about going to see Tiger Stadium or, kind of the spectacle that is Baton Rouge on a game day, they're probably either lying to themselves or just not a college football junkie in general.
The difference for OU between 6-6 and 7-5, big picture, not really that big of a deal for what programs like LSU and Oklahoma are used to winning and competing for. What would be the difference for Brent Venables in this program between 6-6 and 7-5?
At the end of the day, probably not a whole lot. I don't think that Brent's going to be fired at the end of the year. I think we've kind of passed that window, but or that discussion. But I do think for an optic standpoint and just a general trajectory of the program, for the way that we were talking about this team probably 2-3 weeks ago, it pales in comparison to what the vibes would be around the program if they could finish 7-5, get to a bowl game, and then all of a sudden maybe you win a bowl game, and if you could finish 8-5 on the year, my God, that's completely different. They've been recruiting well, certainly going to keep an eye on everything that comes with National Signing Day or whatever it's called, this time of the year, or this, I guess, for the first time. But offensive line group, really, really good. Obviously, Michael Fasusi, a 5-star offensive tackle out of Louisville. He's kind of the prize out of that group. And if they can hold on to him and keep this thing intact, I think that there is still a general feeling that there's a belief in Brent Venables. They just got to go find a really good offensive coordinator that can turn this thing around offensively.
Eddie Radosevich, Soonerscoop.com. Hey, man, happy Thanksgiving. Safe travels down to Baton Rouge, man. Good to chat as always.
Matt, I appreciate it, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well, and hopefully run into you on Saturday.
We'll look forward to it, man. Be well.
Yeah.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the
98.1. The dependable Storage College Football Scoreboard. Dependable Storage. Let us store your stuff. DependableStorage.com.
All right, we start with games in progress. No score at the Iron Bowl. About 6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Auburn with the football deep in their own territory. Number 21, Missouri leads Arkansas 7-0. They just finished the first quarter there. They're playing in snow in Columbia. Tigers took advantage of an Arkansas turnover to cash in for points to open the scoring. Number 6, Miami leads Syracuse 14-0. Cam Ward's got an early touchdown pass and 150 yards passing in the first quarter for Miami. Number 5, Notre Dame leads USC 7-0 at the end of one. I think that's not Jordan Love. That is Jeremiah Love, the quarterback, with the touchdown for Notre Dame. Maryland leads number 4 Penn State 7-3. This is late in the first quarter. I want to correct a mistake I made earlier when Ohio State lost. I said that put Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. That is a mistake. I misread my tiebreakers. Penn State with a win today. Both of them lost their only conference game to Ohio State, but Penn State wins the second tiebreaker on common opponents, so my apologies there. But Penn State does have to win against Maryland. If they do, then they will go to the Big Ten championship game. If they lose and Indiana wins tonight as a big favorite against Purdue, then Indiana would go. Maryland has the lead, but it's late in the first quarter. Number 9, SMU leads Cal 14-0 as the Mustangs try to get to the finish line undefeated in ACC play in their first year in the league. Boston College leads Pitt 13-0. That is midway through the second quarter. Tale of two halves for Pitt. First half of the season and change 7-0. They have lost their last 4 and are trailing by 2 touchdowns today. Rutgers leads Michigan State 10-7. That's in the first quarter. UCLA leads Fresno State 3-0 at the end of the first quarter. NC State leads North Carolina 7-0 late in the first quarter. Mac Brown's likely last game at North Carolina. Western Carolina leads Jacksonville State 7-0. La Tech leads Kennesaw State 7-0. UTEP leads New Mexico State 7-0. Earlier finals today. Number 2, Ohio State falls to Michigan 13-10. Been 1,827 days since the Buckeyes have beaten Michigan. Ugly scene after the game. Michigan went to plant the flag at the middle of the field. The police were out there. There was pepper spray that was emitted down there. A very, very ugly scene at Ohio State at the end of that game. Number 8, Tennessee spotted Vanderbilt 14 quick points but controlled the rest of the game. They beat the Commodores 36-23. Tennessee at 10-2 will not play in the SEC championship game but seem like a lock for the college football playoff. Number 15, South Carolina Carolina beat number 12 Clemson 17-14. Lenora Sellers had 166 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner with about a minute to go. Cole Klubnik threw an interception when Clemson was already in field goal range late that would have tied it. And South Carolina finishes the season, actually both teams finished the season at 9-3. Number 23 Illinois beat Northwestern 38-28. Brett Bielema's team finishes 9-3. Louisville finished off a disastrous season for Kentucky. They beat the Wildcats 41-14. Duke beat Wake Forest 23-17. Walked it off with a 45-yard touchdown pass on the last play of the game to win it. That made some people here very, very happy.
Significant play to some.
Yeah.
Right?
Duke needed to win the game, but they won it by more than a field goal.
9-3 for Duke as well.
Just saying, that's right. Dave Arando, nice rally for him, winning the last 6 games of the season. They beat Kansas today 45-17. That had been a hot Kansas team. But Baylor gets to 8-4 on the year. Texas Tech finishes the season at 8-4. They dusted West Virginia today 52-15. UL Lafayette finishes the season 10-2, 7-1 in the Sun Belt, 37-23 over UL Monroe today. Army beats UTSA 29-24. Cadets finish undefeated in American play, so they will host the American Championship game next week against Tulane. And North Texas beat Temple 27-17. And let's see, we got one more score here to get to. At the Bayou Classic, they have just started the second half. Southern leads Grambling by a score of 10-7. Our LeBear's countdown to kickoff is 2 hours and 40 minutes. We'll take a break. Eagle 98.1 game day from Rouse's.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Presented by Super Chevy. Talkin' Tigers. Talkin' Tigers. Linebacker Greg Penn.
It's meant everything, especially not being from here. Really falling in love with the culture of Louisiana, the people down here. So, I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything else, man. I feel like I made the right decision coming here, even with coaching changes and everything that I've gone through. It's been great, man. I love my experience, and I'm glad to say that I went here.
Defensive end Savion Jones.
One of the ways that help, it just stops us from doing all that thinking that we got to do. You know, I feel like when you got to think about something, that's when your reaction ain't as fast. If instead of just going out and playing as fast as you can, you gotta worry about what if this happened and this happened. But since we simplified the playbook, it's been less thinking and just more reacting.
Offensive lineman Miles Frazier.
It means a lot, and like I'm not really an emotional person, but like it does get me emotional because like I came from FIU, I transferred here with Coach Kelly when he first got here, and it's just this is like everyone's dream. Like every day I don't take nothing for granted because at the end of the day it could end just like that with injuries, with whatever. So like I just want to go out there and give it my all, just represent. Even though I'm not from here, Louisiana welcomed me like with open arms, and like I very much appreciate that because tickets aren't cheap. This is LSU. People work like their whole lives to go to just one game. So I know like going into the game, I got to give my all. I got to produce. I got to perform. I don't want to let those people down the same way I don't want to let like Emery or DJ down when I play right next to them.
Running back Josh Williams.
They're very hard-nosed, like I said earlier. They run fit, pretty strong, and they run to the ball. Play with high effort and very, very unique defense. So we've been studying pretty intensely. Coach Sloan has been giving us a lot of good looks as far as film study. So has Coach Frank. We had a great first day of practice. We're looking forward to stacking days tomorrow.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
I don't think it's something we need to do differently. I just think everyone just needs to go out there and execute on what the game plan is. I think Coach Baker does a great job of trying to take things away and using each of our abilities the best that we can. So just going out there and doing our job and executing, hopefully we can slow him down, make it rough for him.
Defensive end Savion Jones.
I'm real proud of all of us, everybody on the defense, because it wasn't just, an instant improvement. It was a process. We had to first change our mindset, and then we had to change how we play and just different stuff like that. And I feel like everything that we worked on since last year has got us to the point where we at right now.
Offensive lineman Miles Frazier.
Garrett's my dog, but as far as his growth specifically, it's been getting a lot better because the confidence level, like going into the first game, like I had to remind him, like we were here when Jaden got hurt and we were in the SEC championship versus Georgia. I was like, bro, you balled out. So this season, just keep the same energy. So I just think his confidence level every week, it's growing no matter, there's highs and lows obviously, but I feel like he's now with the mental performance stuff that we have, it's a steady high when he's performing, and now he can play more free with the confidence level that he has with working with Coach Sloan and Coach Kelly.
Running back Josh Williams.
It means a lot to be a leader. Not only that, but be able to wear number 18 for LSU means a lot to me. Being on the team for so long and seeing each 18 and what they meant to the team and how they carried themselves on and off the field means a lot to me. How I want to be remembered leaving LSU is a hard-working kid that's very humble, keeps his head down, shows up early, leaves late, and just very hungry, willing to prove everybody wrong, that the naysayers wrong, and just come in every day and compete.
Linebacker Greg Penn.
Yeah, I think the spirits are really good in the locker room right now. I think all of us just really want to finish strong and do it the right way. I think obviously, like you said, there is no playoff for us most likely. So really just going out there and just playing together. We were talking, this might be our last time playing together, most people on the team. So really just going out there and trying to finish the right way is really important.
Defensive end Savion Jones.
I don't think it hit me just yet. I feel like once I play on the game and that them last few seconds ring out, I feel like that's when it's going to definitely hit me. But I definitely made a lot of memories inside that stadium, and I'm definitely going to remember them.
Talking Tigers. Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Protect your home with dependable roof repair and service. GarciaDidMyRoof.com.
WTGL and HD1 Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day. Keys to the V. Presented by Coors Light. Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill.
Back here, Ed Rouse is our LeBear's countdown to kickoff time. About 2 hours and 30 minutes. We bring in Richard Dixon. Will be with us on post game. Richard, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing good, man. Just watching another weekend of good upset.
Yeah, cool. we've had a fun day so far. Let's watch, going back to last week with Garrett Nussmeier against Vandy. You and I did the film breakdown, Handycast on YouTube. You can check it out. It was his best statistical day, really, of the season. Got a lot of things done in his short passing game. What stood out to you?
So what he did was he just took what was given to him, This intermediate passing game that we're so successful on the first half of the season, the guys started to realize that. They started bracketing, playing a lot of zone, carrying guys up the middle, and he hit his checkdowns. I think, the running backs probably had over 10 receptions. They were sitting down in open zones, and if the linebacker's going to get deep, he took the easy route and dropped it off to his guys.
Oklahoma's got one of the better run defenses in the Southeastern Conference. To attain some kind of balance, Rich, they've got to get that short passing game going again. It's sort of like a simulation of a run, these long handoffs and things like that. Has LSU mastered that concept yet?
I wouldn't say they've mastered it, but it's something that they're getting better at. We've got some young offensive linemen in there that have done some things to where, we start to see a little bit more in the outside screen game. We've hit some bubbles and some slot screens. We're trying to get the ball on the outside and get the ball out quicker just so you don't have to rely on protection.
You spotlighted some of the plays the freshman offensive linemen. Listen, they've taken their lumps. It's been a kind of a baptism by fire, especially for Paul Mubenga. But there were some good plays in last week's game, too, that showed they've made some progress.
No doubt. I mean, when I went and broke down the film last week, we did a lot on Chester and Mubenga, guys that we've been hard on previous weeks. But you can see where they're getting better. The game's starting to slow down for them. They're not getting antsy, getting out over their toes. They're just understanding what's expected of them and playing within their role.
There was even a couple of times where they were able to get to the second level. That's been a problem for Chester in particular.
Yeah, I mean, for asking for such a big center, I've always played with smaller, more athletic centers, but having a guy that can get up on the second level, last week was the first time I saw multiple instances, both Binga and Chester were able to get up on the backers.
Richard, the quarterback for Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold, had 131 yards against Alabama last week. He's a big threat with his legs. So I'm going to ask you about the responsibilities of the safeties, because the last time a quarterback ran all over LSU was Alabama, and the safeties struggled, to put it kindly, in that game. So responsibilities for the second level here tonight against Jackson Arnold.
Without sounding repetitive and hearing everything you've heard, play your role. Understand your key. Understand your spot on the field. Understand your responsibility. If everybody plays their 11th of the defense and attacks their gap and their responsibility, everything should work out.
Okay, tonight's senior night. I usually ask this question to Gordy, but he's not a big fan of the practice of senior day. He thinks it's a distraction with your family there. It disrupts your pregame routine, but it is senior night and it's an emotional thing. What are those kids feeling out there tonight?
Well, especially for a lot of the guys that they know they're no longer playing football. This is their last time in Tiger Stadium. They don't have NFL hopes. It's a very emotional day to walk out here, your last regular season game of the season, and say, look, this is what my dream was. My dream was to come play college football. You played at your dream school. You come to LSU. You're kind of soaking in that, this is your last shot. It was a big deal for me because I broke the all-time career reception record on senior night. I had 6 receptions against Arkansas, and it was a night that I know we had to get it done.
All right, just got to ask you, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Did you guys make it through the Egg Bowl? I know it's a big deal at your house.
Sure. I was really hoping for the state to get the win. My sister's the happy one in the family right now.
All right, Rich, enjoy the rest of the game, the rest of the tailgate, rest of the game, and we'll see you for postgame after LSU in Oklahoma.
I got to see you in a bit.
Okay, dropped touchdown pass for Ryan Williams. Maybe I shouldn't call it a drop. It wasn't the easiest catch in the world, but he had a couple of steps, and Milroe put it right there, Musso. Williams has got 2 steps. He is right inside the 5. No,
that's a drop.
He's got to catch that. Yeah, he's got to catch that.
Man.
No, that's right in the breadbasket.
Yeah.
That's one of the better throws Milroe's made all year probably. And Williams dropped it. 7-0 is the score. Alabama leading it early in the second quarter at the Iron Bowl. We'll take a break. Head down to the stadium, talk to the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, when we return here at Rouse's. Huge selection of holiday gift trays here at Rouse's for your holiday parties. Full and half pans of the jambalaya, gumbo, red beans, white beans, fettuccine Alfredo. Also your mini po' boys, mini muffaladas, meat pies, crawfish pies, and boudin egg rolls. Terrific finger sandwiches here at Rouse's, your holiday catering headquarters and the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 Game Day inside the stadium. Presented by Louisiana Federal Land Bank. Louisiana Federal Land Bank. They're experts in rural land and equipment lending.
Bears countdown to kickoff about 2 hours and 20 minutes. We're watching the Iron Bowl and Missouri against Arkansas. The Arkansas-Missouri game is tied at 7. There are about 4 minutes to go to halftime there in the snow. And Alabama leads the Iron Bowl 7-0 as they wind down the first quarter there. Let's bring in Chris Blair down at Tiger Stadium. Chris, good afternoon. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a great one. So did all Tiger fans out there. I got to tell you, man, this is it's got football weather, a little chill in the air in the shade, but man, Charlie, it feels great in the sunshine today. And it was one of those games I wasn't real sure like what the crowd would be like, but maybe a little slower start for the day for most people, but it's starting to fill up out here as the Tigers get ready to come down Victory Hill. So it should be a good atmosphere tonight.
I think so too, Chris. And, you know, the fact that it's Oklahoma, a program of that magnitude coming in for the first time, I think is intriguing. I love the idea that this matchup is at the end of the season. I know it's not what either team wanted, based on where they started the season, but I'm looking forward to the ball game tonight. It's been one of those on the schedule that I have. And even though it hasn't been the best seasons by Oklahoma standard, last week, they got everybody's attention. That was an Alabama team that beat LSU soundly in Baton Rouge, and Oklahoma whooped them last week in Norman.
Yeah, I mean, you think back to, I'm sure there's a lot of LSU defensive players still waking up in the middle of the night watching Jalen Milroe run all over them. And, they hold Alabama to 70 yards rushing. And talking to Coach Kelly and even listening to Coach Baker this week, I mean, they really liken Oklahoma's defensive front to some of the better ones that LSU has faced this year. And of course, you're talking about Alabama, who put it together that night here at Tiger Stadium, but more so really Ole Miss, South Carolina, and certainly Texas A&M. So, you got the Tigers coming off 2 games, albeit going 1-1, where they've ran the ball a lot more effectively. But, I think if you're Oklahoma, again, you come in and say, let's try to make the game one on Garrett Nussmeier every snap and try to shut down the running game. And, hopefully LSU can find just a little bit. I've talked a lot with Coach Kelly about, complementary offense and balance, and it's not as if LSU needs 300 yards passing and 300 yards rushing. I mean, it's more like 300 yards passing and 150 rushing. I think if they can get that, it takes a little pressure off Garrett and this receiving corps to have to make a play after play after play.
I agree, Chris. The third down conversion number for LSU is tops in the league, just over 50%. But, man, it's an awful lot easier when your average yards to go are closer to 4 than it is to 8. And we've seen them do it both ways. But, given their druthers, they'd much rather go with the shorter yards to go. So that involves either a running game or a controlled passing game, the short passing game, which they did real well a week ago, to keep them on schedule and not get behind the sticks.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Garrett Nussmeier is one of the more dangerous quarterbacks in the country when he's looking at second and short, even third and short. I mean, it opens up what he's able to do. And as you said, it keeps the defense honest. And, I know fans certainly are frustrated with the fact that, the simplification word started to come out over the last 2 weeks. But if you go back and look at the Vanderbilt game, I just believe when you take a sample size of Garrett, this offensive line, really the entire offense, when they're snapping the ball with about 15, 16 on the play clock, I just think they move better. I know Garrett was a tempo quarterback in high school, so I know he's comfortable with it. I think the offensive line gets bogged down when they're waiting and checking, trying to get into the perfect play against the defense they're facing. I just think LSU plays better. Not necessarily NASCAR with foot to the pedal. I just think when they're able to move a little quicker, I think it helps everything. I think it helps the passing game, and I also think it helps the running game.
With those linemen in particular, you ask a 320-pound guy to get in a stance and sit and stand there in a crouched stance for 25 seconds. Ain't the easiest thing to do, so I'm with you on that, Chris. Hey, what we got coming up? Set the scene for me inside the Tiger Stadium. I know LSU is going to be wearing the purple tonight. Some people like that, some people don't. But just kind of a scene setter for me, if you will, there, as we're going to have, like you said, some chilly temperatures tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell everybody's got an extra jacket around their waist at the moment because, again, it feels really good out here at the stadium. But once the sun goes down, or as they say, the sun finds its home in the western sky, I mean, we're expecting the temperatures to drop. So people will be bundled up. But, it's been interesting to see a number of Oklahoma fans who are right down here in the Bud Light fan zone, taking a little bit of everything in. I see a lot of smiles on the Oklahoma faces at the moment. I know that'll end once they step inside Tiger Stadium. But even saw an Oklahoma Minnie Mouse full costume, which is unique. I got to believe, with all the places I've been in the SEC, I've yet to see a Minnie Mouse decked out in school colors. But, hey, Boomer Sooner, I guess.
No, that's a first. And, I did run into we did the show yesterday and ran into some Oklahoma folks that were here, said, hey, listen, as soon as the game get on the schedule, we've never been to Baton Rouge. We want to come down and see what Tiger Stadium's all about. Now, frankly, I've talked to a number of LSU fans that want to make this return trip to Norman next year, where LSU's never been. So I can certainly understand that. Looking forward to that. Chris, what's coming up on Network Pregame?
Well, the guys, as they always do, will break it down. They'll have a little in-depth preview of gymnastics, another LSU national championship team. Kind of preview Gym 101, which I know you guys are aware comes up here in a couple of weeks before the reigning national champions get into action in January. So there'll be a little gymnastics and obviously a lot of football. And I can tell you, ran into, I've got such superstars I work with. We were trying to get a team picture. You talk about an act of Congress. Just trying to get all these stars aligned at once. But I know that Brandon and Marlon are fired up. They get excited for the last home game of the season. And, again, they're going to honor the seniors, which is a little trickier than it used to be based on who's coming back and who's not. But it should be a great night. And as I said, the fans really starting to pile in. It's not quite the level of the Alabama game or Ole Miss just yet, but may have a late arriving crowd, but I think it'll be fired up when boot meets ball.
Hey, Chris, look here. I know it's hard to get them all together for a picture, but if you're ever trying to get a table anywhere, Hester's like your meal ticket, okay? That guy can get a table anywhere you want to go in the Southeastern Conference. So keep him around, and you'll never wait in line for anything.
I can't lose wherever I go. It's either John Brady or Jacob Hester, and I never have to worry about getting a seat.
Chris, have a great call, and we'll catch up with you soon for the bowl game.
All right, boys.
Thanks a lot. Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. Auburn threatening inside the 15-yard line of Alabama, trailing 7-0, about 8.5 minutes to go. Inside the 20-yard line, about 8.5 minutes to go in the first half. Live from Rouse's, our countdown to kickoff from about 2 hours and 10 minutes. Our LeBear's countdown to kickoff. Eagle 98.1 game day.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-126-81. Offices in Baton Rouge. Eagle 98.1 WDGL and C1 Baton Rouge.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
The best kept secret.
98.1. Eagle 98.1 game day inside the stadium. The Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln College Football Scoreboard. Robinson Brothers Ford Lincoln on airline under the giant American flag.
Old Dominion leads Arkansas State 21-14. Number 4 Penn State leads Maryland 17-7 with 7 minutes to go in the first half. A Penn State win puts the Nittany Lions in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon. Number 5 Notre Dame and USC are tied at 7. That game's got about 2 minutes to go to the break at the Mausoleum. Jordan Maivia has only thrown for 69 yards, but USC has just tied the score. And a comeback up at Syracuse. Miami got out to a 21-0 lead, but Syracuse has scored 2 touchdowns to make it a 21-14 game. Miami leading with 2:36 to go in the first half. Number 9 SMU up 21-0 on Cal. About 4 minutes to go to the break in Frisco. SMU trying to finish out with an unbeaten mark in ACC play. Alabama leads Auburn 7-0, but Auburn is about to attempt a field goal. They've got a 4th and I think goal to go, or 15 to go from around the 15-16 yard line. That field goal is good, and so it is 7-3 with 8:27 to go in the first half at the Iron Bowl. Number 16 Arizona State is doing their part to get to the Big 12 championship game. They lead Arizona 28-0 at the half. Scatterboo has 3 touchdowns on the ground for ASU, and Levittstone a touchdown pass. Arkansas and number number 21 Missouri are tied at 7. That game being played in the snow up in Columbia. Minute 21 to go to the half there. Rutgers leads Michigan State 17-7. It's Fresno State over UCLA 7-6. NC State leads North Carolina 7-6. Again, should be will probably be the last game for Mac Brown as head coach. Northern Illinois leads Central Michigan 21-16. Charlotte leads UAB 10-7. Florida Atlantic leads Tulsa 35-2, and Western Kentucky leads Jacksonville State 7-3. La Tech leads Kennesaw State 14-0. New Mexico State leads UTEP 17-7, and that is your college football scoreboard. And Southern leads Grambling 10-7 late in the third quarter.
Go Jags.
This is Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
Welcome to the Make It Jingle with Kris Kringle podcast. Today we're talking to Jan from Toyota, all about Toyotathon. Hi! So, Jan, got any red Tacomas?
Yeah, we have a great selection of vehicles, including Tacomas.
After my big job, I'm taking the missus down to Florida to go surfing.
Did you say Florida? Can the elves and I go too?
Dealer inventory may vary. Current offers on these vehicles end December 2nd. Offers are subject to change throughout Toyotathon, which ends on January 6th. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
The worst corridor for sex trafficking is New Orleans to Houston. Metanoia Manor is a safe house for trafficked girls. It helps with healing and provides education and life skills. Donate now at helpprotectthesegirls.com.
Hey guys, Jessica Singletary here with Top Team Roofing and Construction. We are a local, family-owned business that loves all things Louisiana, especially the people. It can be difficult to know if a contractor is treating you fairly. Well, at Top Team, we are double licensed and properly insured. Treating our customers fairly is at the heart of everything we do. From roof replacements, repairs, or home renovations, you can trust Top Team Roofing and Construction. Come join our Top Team family today and call 571-1740. That's 571-1740. Or check us out online at thelatopteam.com.
Great. Your windshield cracked. Now what? Call Advanced Windshield. You have things to do. That's why they come to you. Advanced Windshield is the leading mobile, auto glass, and camera calibration provider in our area. Call 225-248-6788 or visit advancedwindshield.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I didn't.
So you've got an oil change coming up. You can go farther and save on full synthetic with our oil change special. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $33.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the propane tank on your grill first before hosting a tailgate.
Let's fire up. Here, let me try. Seriously? You didn't check the propane? Who wants chips?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Salt and vinegar?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
98.1.
Bringing the card out to midfield in Columbia for an injured Arkansas player. Everybody huddled around there. Very intense scene there with about a minute to go in the first half. All right, Musso, some final thoughts on LSU and Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously they're going to have to stop Jackson Arnold if they want to win the football game. But I really want to watch Garrett Nussmeier tonight, Haney, because it was his best game of the season last year, and he's had a pretty good season, some ups and downs. But what I'm more intrigued by is the last few times you've seen a first-year starting quarterback at LSU, you've really seen them come on at the end. The game start to slow down. Was that the start of it for Garrett Nussmeier? Going up against a really good defense tonight in Oklahoma, it could be the next step, so I'm really intrigued to see that. All
right, LSU and Oklahoma for the first time ever in Tiger Stadium. Going to be a chilly night in Tiger Stadium, so hope you enjoy the game. Thanks to our friends here at Rouse's all season long. Again, your holiday parties, all of the trays available here. All of your tailgating, if you're coming for a holiday party, you need wine, you need beer, you need spirits. You've got all of those things here at Rouse's. Fantastic place to stock up for the holidays or for tailgating during this season. We'll be back 90 minutes after the end of LSU and Oklahoma. Immediately following the game, Whiskey and Wine with Matt Moscona and T-Bob, and then Richard Dixon joins me for the post-game in studio. From all of us here at Rouse's, everybody back at the flagship, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon from Rouse's. This has been Eagle 98.1 Game Day.
The following is an exclusive presentation of the LSU Sports Radio Network.